everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. My name is Ben Hansen. Thank you for being here, joined by one Haley McLean.
Hi.
Oh, a delicate Haley today. Joined by Jacob Geller.
Hello.
Joined by Jeff Marchiafivy.
Hi.
And joined by the fire dog, Kelsey Lewin.
Woof, woof.
That's right. We got a lot to unpack on this episode. Genuinely.
I'm not scared of that dog. That dog's cute as hell.
When we were planning out this episode, by the way, we pre-recorded last week's episode with the six-shooter duel. If anyone's wondering, what is wrong with you guys? Why weren't you talking about the idea of PlayStation ditching physical media last week? That's why that episode is technically pre-recorded. But this week, we're going to be diving into it. And this is where I really appreciate the variety of MinnMax here. Where I was like, take this in the spirit when it's just intended. Like, Jacob, Jeff, I'm happy to have you here. But it's like, oh, it's so cool to have like Kelsey's perspective on ditching physical media as a used game store owner, and then Haley as like an IP lawyer. Like, this is like such a cool fusion of ideas.
I know I'm like the fifth most important person here. I'm just here for the ride.
Hell yeah. Speaking of which,
I like those guys. I'm glad they're here.
I'm also glad they're here.
Kelsey,
and speaking of going for a ride, Jacob's jumping in on our wing and taking off late in this episode for sharing his final thoughts on Star Fox. We can let him do that, Star Fox. We're also going to be talking about Rhythm Heaven Groove, because it's not just going to be pure bummer town in this episode. We're talking about the most, perhaps I'm seeing here, the most uplifting game ever made in Rhythm Heaven Groove on the Switch. So we'll be covering that to pull up drastically on the yoke. And then we're dive bombing down into the trenches to talk about the state of Xbox. For the last time, everybody.
Right.
It might be.
I mean, we're getting there.
Go ahead and we'll talk about it one more time.
So, mass layoffs at Xbox, 3,200 people losing their job this year. Studios
the
spinning
most ever
out.
at once, right?
We're gonna get into it. We got a full rundown.
Okay.
Look, the game industry is always fascinating, and this week of news is proving that. We're also going to be talking about the hit game Meccha Chameleon, of course, that has sold over 15 million copies.
That's a little pick-me-up at the end, right?
Yeah.
One copy for every laid-off employee.
We promise you Meccha Chameleon in every pot. And then back after the show, we have so many great community questions that people submitted over there on Patreon. Jacob, you're with me, right? You saw those and you're like, Jesus, these are good questions this week.
I think like, last week when we pre-recorded, we just did one Patreon round twice.
Yeah.
I think we should do that for this one because there were so many that I was like, that's a good question.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because whoever submitted
Because they had 2 weeks to think of them?
Oh, that could honestly be. But then also it's whoever has the best questions submitted over there on Patreon this week wins the Persona 5 Royal Vinyl thanks to iMadeThat.
She's coveted.
And so I think it's like that led to like 160 people being like, I gotta fire everything we've got. Just like Pigma did at James McCullough. No, okay, let's dive into this whole thing. Last week, it was revealed.
I'm already tired.
Sorry. It was revealed that starting January 2028, PlayStation just says, you know those like discs, those things you like might
things
use?
we promised you would have.
Right, those like coasters. We're just not gonna do that anymore. Okay, bye. And the internet exploded. I mean, it was, I think, 5 days of silence, of mourning on PlayStation social medias, because they had, I don't know if you saw it, but they had like one tweet then about like, pre-order this, and it was just like lit on fire with everybody just exploded like, fuck you, Sony. Like, the world is screaming. They were the first to rip off the seal, but like, it's the type of thing of, obviously, Xbox is going in this direction as well. You know, Nintendo's been inching towards it in a way, but with GTA 6 getting out there and saying, we're not going to have a disc in the box. We'll have a box that stores shelves, but it's just going to be a game code inside. I wonder if that was a little bit of like the cover for PlayStation, them being like, and by the way, as a follow to that, January 2028, we just don't want to do discs anymore. Okay. Kelsey, as somebody who sells discs with your company, I'd argue at least one disc every single day. How does this news hit you? Like, I don't want to get too dark too fast, but like, is it genuinely scary for you to be like, oh, my career?
No, that's an interesting question. So there's so many different like ways to talk about this, and I'm sure we'll eventually get to all of them.
Yeah.
In terms of my stores in particular, we sell used video games, obviously, and we have this like ecosystem that we play into right now that is a very useful ecosystem, and I would argue it's an incredibly useful one for Sony and for these game companies. So the purpose of, I mean, just obviously, yes, many people buy digital games. That is a fact. Not everybody is buying physical. Physical games are still a huge part, regardless of what Sony says. They're still a very large ecosystem, both for people who, are maybe of like a more have to deal with more of a budget, right? Like they're gaming on more of a budget, and they play into this thing where, they go into a game store. They are discovering things they might not otherwise discover. They are funding the purchase of more games by trading in games. And through this, they are, they're finding new series, and they're becoming fans of franchises and doing more with their PlayStation because they're sort of playing into this. Some people have talked about libraries being a big part of this as well. Obviously, anyone who is, more of a budget consumer has to be a little bit more, they simply can't afford a $70 game every time, right? And there's a ton of people in that sort of like economic bracket. So this obviously starts killing the ecosystem for like that they can exist in right now. There's always going to be demand for games at inclusive price points, right? Like there's always going to be people who are going to want to pay. They don't want to play Grand Theft Auto or whatever, but they have to wait until it's $10. Sony takes away the option for this to ever be a $10 game, and it is a $70, $80 game forever, which they absolutely can just decide to do. That affects an enormous amount of people who may or may not be able to play this game. But for the game stores in general, I mean, this is kind of dark, but this is technically, at least in the short to medium term, good for us in terms of like, there's always going to be people who
scarcity
have a
market
preference, for physical media and physical ownership. To be clear, I do not like this whatsoever. But there is always going to be this demand for, physical media. If we're shrinking the pool of available physical media, and also, have this growing market of budget consumers who are maybe forced to consume from like used physical media because they can't afford the $70 games, but still want to participate in video games. Like, you see how this goes, right? Like we have a shrinking supply that we are not adding anything to. And of course, there's just decay in general in all of this, right? Like you accidentally snap a disc in half. That's one less on the market that'll never be, replenished with anything else. With a growing demand, I mean, this just drives the price of physical media up.
I was thinking too, and this is a weird way to jump ahead, but like, it's going to be weird. Everything is weird, obviously, but it's going to be really weird, like seeing what the last PlayStation disc is. And like, there's probably going to be a weird collector's aspect to that of like whatever the
Just
last PlayStation
2030 made for the PS5. That'll be it.
Maybe, yeah, but it's like with the last like PlayStation game in particular, like maybe it is going to be intergalactic. I don't know exactly how that timeline will work out, right? But it's like I kind of want to own physically the last game that PlayStation ever made. And obviously it's like fascinating to think of like PlayStation's history as like the PlayStation 1 and them really pushing, CD technology, and now for them just to be like, we're moving beyond that officially. Please don't pay attention to it. And it just feels like that kick in the gut that consumers have been feeling, in particular over the last several years, right? I mean, I guess since inflation started in a big way with COVID, where it just feels like, God, we're getting squeezed hard. And now just to have this extra FU slam dunk on top of our heads of like, and we're going to have full control and we can take away these games whenever we want and you won't be able to share these games with a friend. And what are you going to do about it, you pieces of shit? Is how it feels.
There's no integrity anymore. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Words don't matter. Promises don't matter. Screw you. If we get to make more money, we'll do it. Deal with it. Games.
I honestly
what are you
don't even think
specifically referring to? The words don't matter. I'm not challenging you, but like what are you thinking of as like their promises that they're
think like 13 years ago when they did their little cheeky, here's how you share a PS4 game.
Yeah.
And they like hand it to each other. They're like, gotcha, Microsoft. Like their tagline is play has no limits. And they're like, never mind.
Okay, well, Xbox's tagline was everything is an Xbox, which I guess
That
was true.
And greatness
Kinda
awaits
really
means
true.
nothing now. And in theory, this will be the PS6. I'd imagine if PS6 launches
Yeah.
in 2028 or 2027, they want this to sync up. And we don't know for sure that they won't have. I mean, I would put my money
They're
on
not
them.
going to have a disc track.
Yeah, there ain't no way.
Hear me out. I would put money on them having like, hey, you can buy some USB dongle that technically can read discs that you can plug into a PS6 USB slot
Like what they
if you
did with
want
new
to.
MacBooks or whatever.
Yeah,
those little
I think it's going to be
side
some
little dongly
nonsense like that.
things.
Like, see, everybody, it's fine. Even though they're not producing it, so that technically you can play your PS5 and PS4 games or whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess because I think it's bad, and we can continue to talk about why it's bad. But it does seem. I guess I'm not surprised by it, and I don't feel betrayed as much as I'm just like, damn, this was what was going to happen, and it sucks that it's here.
I think that's fair. Obviously there has been a trend towards digital media, just over, we have just been trending this direction. But I do want to point out, and a couple of outlets have pointed this out too, Sony is kind of gaslighting people with the figures that they are selectively sharing for this. When they're saying things like 85% of things are digital, that's looking at an entirety of, both games that never got a physical whatsoever, games that are maybe only like $4 and would never have gotten a physical, DLC, things like that are all being included in part of this figure. And when you look at Sony's major releases on a game-by-game basis, it's not exactly 50%, but it's a lot closer to 50-50, and it's still, honestly, it's a stronger physical market than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And so that has surprised me. But more than anything, I really just feel like this is sort of, and maybe this is why they're making this decision, is they see this dead end on the wall already. But like, this feels like an evolutionary dead end, not because I think physical media, obviously I care about physical media a lot. I don't think that is really the point. I think they're just kind of destroying what was left of an ecosystem that got more people into playing Sony games and into discovering it and becoming fans of these franchises. I don't think we have a lot of incentive for people to, like, this pool of people that they're squeezing at this point. They're going to squeeze a lot of money out of like way fewer people rather than trying to spread and grow the market. So, there's just a finite amount of people, there simply are, who can afford $1,000 console with $70 rentals.
Yep.
Like, this is just not this is a shrinking market that you're just trying to squeeze more and more out of.
Yes.
Yeah, which is exactly what their executives said like a week or two ago, right? They gave, like a quarterly update or whatever, and they said we're looking to monetize our existing base more already, and like this is one of the ways that they do it. Schreier had a good breakdown today, I think it was this morning, of like how much money they make by cutting out discs and you having to buy it straight from them. It's like $45 if they sell a game on a disc, and it's $70 of a $70 game if they're selling it directly. And they make more from third-party games too, because everything goes through their store. Like all of this fall, I'm sure I'll yell this during the Xbox bullshit bonanza that we're going to get into as
Good
well.
headline,
But like
thanks,
all of it, there's this entire framing of like, well, we just have to do these shitty things because that's what the market needs and that's where the market's going. And it completely like pulls the wool over our eyes in the sense that they will make more money from this. Like everything is about them making more money, and it doesn't have to be this way. Daniel Dwyer actually had
term, though. I don't like.
Yes. In the short term. In the long term, they are going to kill themselves off.
Yes. In the long term, there is no PlayStation because you are not doing anything to try to expand this market. And I want to just, as a retailer, because you mentioned Jason Schreier's breakdown on what Sony stands to gain from cutting out the retailers. I mean, I'm going to speak, obviously, I'm not a Walmart, I'm not a GameStop or anything. I'm a much smaller retailer, but like I know what my price breakdowns are for things. And when I sell a $70 DualShock 5, I have paid on a average, I would say about $62 for that. So that's a very low margin item for me. I'm making very little money off of that. For reference, minimum wage in Seattle is like $23 an hour. So like you can see this is a very difficult, like low margin spend that I put shelf space on, because I assume that people who are going to buy a PS5 controller, obviously it's just a good thing to provide in my video game store, that makes sense. But like I reserve shelf space for this because there's other things that people will buy if they are a Sony consumer. I sell all kinds of other Sony products that have way better margins than, you know, whatever that like 10% or whatever is, right? And if you piss off all the retailers and give them only the option to have these really low margin items that are bulky and take up space and have no other incentives for them to be carrying these items. Like I was thinking about this morning, you know, do you know what Target's margin on like a pair of headphones is? It's probably like 90%. Why would they waste space eventually with these like low margin Sony things that don't bring in more customers, because that's the only thing they can buy. The only thing that they can still like use retail for is a controller or whatever. And I just think like you're alienating your customers, you're alienating the retailers. And I just don't, I mean, it really is just, it feels like this wall closing in of like, we're just going to, the people who are already in the PlayStation box, that's it. Those are our guys, and we're just going to squeeze them for everything we have, and we're not going to attempt to grow our audience any further than this. And
it's basically the
weird
whale model. I mean, if you think about you know, the most popular games in the world, or the most successful games in the world, it seem to be you know, coded gambling games where they might have a huge install base, but actually most of their money comes from the tiny percentage of people who spend thousands of dollars on it. And it's like that will make your line go up until everything collapses, because, you know, resting your entire ecosystem on people who are willing to gamble away all their money is not a good business strategy long term.
Do you think, though, so PS6, let's say, I mean, Asha Sharma has said on the Xbox side of things, they're like, oh, you know, hardware costs are up 5 times what they have been just like 2 years ago.
AI inflation costs. But
correct.
Sure.
Right. Which Microsoft has no hand in, to be clear.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
But in theory, PS6 launches, let's say, same as a Steam machine, what, $1,049 for the cheapest SKU, no disk drive. I think that's a very likely scenario. Something like that, maybe $9.99, something like that. It'll sell out immediately still, won't it? It's just long term. I agree that the audience is being squeezed. I still feel like that first wave will crush it, and then it's just going to be a weaker market over and over and over again.
I think as is, no, because Sony has not given any carrots in this. This is what really like throws me, is they're just like, hey, we're going to squeeze you more. Everything's going to cost more. And like, there's no, if they had just come out, and I would still be mad about this and think that there's a lot of, you know, just whatever corporate speak over this, but like, they didn't even come out and say like, and we're going to run more sales, or when you buy something, you definitely own it. Like nothing. There is no like consumer incentive to be excited about this. Right. Even if all you do is buy digital games, which I think is completely valid. Like this stuff takes up so much space. I totally get it. But like, even if you are always a digital consumer, all they've done is take away options and offer nothing in return. Not even like a pretend little carrot that's like, don't worry, we're really going to take care of you. We're going to make sure you have more options than ever.
I do kind of feel like they are going to make a pretend little carrot. I think part of the reason that they're announcing this so far in advance is because then when they reveal whatever their incredibly complicated and limited PS6 version of like game sharing is, we have already gotten mad and gotten over them killing physical media. I guess I have a hard time envisioning that the PS6 doesn't sell out just because that is what seems to happen with gaming hardware, and no one's buying an Xbox. So it's like the Steam machine was designed to completely close the gap between console people and PC people. I think that was the goal of it. Unfortunately, because the Steam machine had to launch at $1,000, I think that was a big shot in the foot for it. And I think generally some people are just like, I play video games and I'm not a PC gamer. Mm-hmm. That is kind of an identification.
What choice do I have?
And so like, I think that people are mad, and even kind of normal people who don't pay attention to video game news all the time are mad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just think they're gonna do it. I mean, it's like there kind of aren't other options for people other than to just stop gaming, and I don't think they will.
I mean, I'm still thinking about Kelsey's point about like bringing new people in, that used game market, bringing so many people into the ecosystem. And I'm sure there are executives chomping on their fat cigars in an office somewhere being like, well, once we make this Astrobot Netflix series, that'll get people into the market and introduce them to our IP, yada, yada, whack, whack, whack. At the same time, it's like, if the option is, hey, I like this show or movie, I love that Ratchet and Clank film, let me go to the store and spend $1,200 on a new console and a game and a controller versus like, or just play Roblox on my phone. Like, it's the easiest slam dunk, and we're just going to bleed out from the AAA market.
I have a hard time even looking at a future of gaming that isn't $200 little handheld retro things. I know we still haven't talked about the Thor on any of these episodes.
What do you mean? We never promised we would talk about the Thor in a big way. Yeah, we're going to soon.
It's getting to the point where you can buy a $200 little gaming machine off of Amazon that will play everything that was made before 2010 or whatever, and also a lot of indie PC stuff now. And there has been a lot of movement in that regards of even like Android machines, like so many of these handhelds are, of like getting Linux on it to basically get a version of Steam OS on it and stuff. And it's hard to imagine an ecosystem where people go out and they're going to instead spend $1,000 for a console that they're not going to own any of their games for, that they're going to then have to pay for multiplayer on it and get like 3 maybe good AAA games from their publisher a year in order to play it.
Or they could just go get a $90 PS3 and a $5 copy of Uncharted, this is what I'm seeing a lot too, to that point, which is there's just so much interest in especially handhelds, and getting those and usually modding them because it's just like,
but at the same time,
pick up a 3DS.
I'm surprised by this perspective. Like, you guys really think that people just won't have interest in new games?
The new games thing, though, Jacob, is like, what kind of new games are we talking about? You can play thousands of new games, and everything that's viral at this point is something that you can play on a PC or something that doesn't have to cost as much as like a new system. If you're gonna spend $1,000 for a PlayStation 6, you're gonna do it for whatever few games that Sony is going to offer you, and then like the third party stuff that's everywhere else. And it's like people freaked out. I get your point of like, it'll probably sell out when it comes out, and I'm sure there's going to be a scarcity to it so that they'll be able to say that it's sold out no matter what it is. Yes. But like the launch of the PS3 was a disaster because it cost $600 when it came out, and it like put them on their heels for at least half that generation and like made Xbox a lot more popular at that time. And I just don't understand how either what Sony or Microsoft's play coming out of this at this time where everybody's so pissed and the hardware is going to be so hard to create. Like I don't think it's as easy of a sell as they are hoping that it's going to be. And like, I think we're going to see a lot of revolting from gamers.
Yes.
And more people saying, F it, I will go out and I will build a PC, or I will buy a PC, or I will buy the dozens of alternative Steam machines that are going to come out now that people are seeing that the Steam machine sold out, and like a third party company can at least theoretically someday make a better.
Don't have disk drives and you are still buying a digital license for a game that can be revoked at any time.
Yes.
And it feels less likely on Steam than on PlayStation, but they could still do it.
And yes, absolutely. But you look at even the prices of the AY and Thor, like that they've increased the prices. Like Jeff, I think you're right that like the handheld Android market is like cooler and cooler and better. But with RAM prices going up, even people are being priced out of that, So it's not like that's like, well, here's the solution. It's like your solution, your lifeboat is also on fire monetarily, it's such a rough spot.
I think it's frustrating too that they choose to do these types of things when AI has caused everything to be so exponentially expensive to switch over to PC. Like, my sister has been thinking about PC and she's kind of interested in it because she sees all the games I play and she goes, oh, those are all so cool. How do I play those? I'm like, well, they're only on PC. She's like, oh, I think I might want a PC. Looks at the price. Can't do it right now. And so that's the realm in which they're releasing these types of news when it's the hardest it's ever been to get into PC. It's like, of course, let's announce no more discs because we'll lose less people because we've spent so much on AI. Now AI's used up all the RAM, all the memory, all this stuff that we're now pricing people out from two different markets at the same time simultaneously.
Yeah, for sure. I think a component of it when I talk about PC games is if the thing that's driving you away, certainly not the physical media thing. Like physical media is just going to be dead and gone, and that is very unfortunate. But like if you are looking at it from a consumer standpoint and you hate that corporations are locking you into their system, if you build a PC or you buy a Steam machine or anything else, you have more control and more autonomy over your hardware than you do with anything else. True of a retro, like all the retro handhelds, everybody knows they're popular because you can put whatever you want on it. And most of that is piracy anyway. Quote unquote piracy, that's a whole different discussion, but like, and this is personal to me, but it's hard to look at either of these two companies, Sony or Microsoft at this point, and not say, F this, I'm a consumer, I want certain rights, and the only place that I'm going to get anything close to that is on a PC. And like all of the arguments of like, well, this is the death of ownership because physical media is going away. One, like physical ownership wasn't that great. Even when we did have discs, like that has been slipping in the number of updates that you need and, your hardware checking in with their servers. Like, that
physical in quite a while.
Right.
Yeah, that has all already sucked. But also on the other side, like GOG exists. GOG sells you games that you definitely own and you don't need an account, and they will give you the files to install it on whatever PC you want after you buy it. And you can put it on a USB and you can give it to a friend, and technically that's piracy, but like that is kind of the like the whole argument of like, well, if it's digital, we lose ownership. That's only true because the corporations make it that way.
Right.
And if that pisses you off, you do have at least some more options, but it's not going to be with Sony or with Microsoft.
Kelsey,
I guess
hang on real quick. Kelsey, I feel like you weren't wanting to talk for like 15 minutes. You were cut off a couple times.
I don't even remember what I have many things I was going to say, but yeah, no, go ahead.
I agree with you. And I mean, it's like, I am someone who I love buying Blu-rays, which to be clear, I'm super worried about now because Sony is, the PS5 is certainly the highest selling 4K Blu-ray player in the world. Yeah. And so
well, are they going to keep manufacturing? Like they own the format Blu-ray. Are they going to keep manufacturing those?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be an enthusiast only thing that Criterion and like Arrow make and nothing else. I own vinyls. Most of my friends do not own any movies, do not own any music. Subscribe to 5 streaming services, and if it doesn't exist on there, they don't watch it. And I think that sucks, and I think that's a really bad way to live and to interact with the media that you like. But I want to hope that people are coming around to valuing ownership and control, but like over the past 15 years, everything has been almost like a why bother? Mm-hmm. Like, I just feel like people have basically given up the idea of owning anything because that's just kind of not what is incentivized in anywhere, except for games where you can buy cheap games used. And maybe this will be the thing that gets people turned around. But like, I don't know.
Haley, well, I agree with you in general. I'm not like I think, to be clear, we all knew this was coming someday. And like, this is less about them killing the physical media market and more about the fact that that was kind of the last, maybe even slightly false thing we were hanging on to as a form of ownership, and it has not been replaced by anything meaningful. And I truly don't understand what the incentive to be locked into the PlayStation ecosystem would be after losing this option. I think what is like compelling about consoles is that you do have these options. Maybe you don't use them. Maybe you're someone who bought, the discless one and you never use it whatsoever. But I think what makes a PlayStation or an Xbox for that matter, like compelling over a PC is just the ease of which you have these options and how the ecosystem isn't 100% controlled by just the platform creator. It's controlled by, both a game studio themselves could discount a game on the digital store, but you also have this like incentive for the prices to go down because of the used market. So they may like not want to discount their game, but if they're like, man, used copies of this game are floating around for $10, why would anyone ever give us any money digitally if we're still charging $70? Maybe we'll knock it down to $30, and then some people will be like, yeah, you know what, I'd rather just have it on my machine, and that's a good enough discount. There's just no like competition in the market if you remove this option. And so I just no longer understand what the appeal of sticking with a console would really be.
Saros.
Yeah.
Haley, like the argument of like, you idiots don't even own your games right now.
I didn't say that.
What do you even think?
I'm
always confused.
Haley had a really
about that.
smart thread.
No, I genuinely wasn't trying to quote your thread. I wasn't, but I just hear that take in general. I could you explain that? I'm still honestly a bit naive to that whole idea of like, you just because you buy a disc does not mean you own that game.
It's confusing. I think the easiest way to think about it is how I did it in a thread, which when you own something physical and there's no technological protection measures, which are what I talk about in that thread, they're short form TPM. Digital rights management is what they're called, sometimes DRMs as well. Those are things that allow a company to control your product that you purchase post-purchase. So back in the old days, back when we were kids, we didn't got any of that. Yeah. We put our N64 thing in and we turn it on, it turns on. There's no checking, there's no license verification, there's no PSN account attachment to verify before you log on. There's no crypto signatures, there's no integrity checks. It's just, I have a product that digitally has a game stored on it. When I plug it in, it loads and I play it. And that felt like ownership back then. And like, I don't think I would question anybody's desire to use the word ownership like in a non-legal way, because it felt like ownership. So when someone says I owned my game, I don't go, actually shut up, because it's like, I get what you mean. It feels like you owned it because you could do whatever you wanted with it, with the practical rights that a physical media thing with no TPMs has. When I say practical rights, I mean, it's not like they granted you these rights. They just happen naturally because I have a physical product in my hand. I can hand it to my friend. I can send it in the mail. I can destroy it. I can do whatever I want with it once it's in my hands. And that's just a practical right. Nobody granted me those. It just happens. So once you introduce TPMs, which are the thing, and they've been slowly doing this over time, right? Like, kind of like what Kelsey was saying, like, I think this was a somewhat inevitability. I think physical discs were going to go away. But I think that it just would have had a lot of what I call stupid steps in between of like, all right, are you ready for our next direct? Here's how sharing your games with Sony cartridge keys works. And then they explain it for 20 minutes and none of it makes sense and everyone feels stupid. It's because physical media conflicts with TPMs. Like they want a TPM market. They want to control everything post-purchase so that they can hover and verify if you bought it from them and make sure it's a Sony official product and you can't mod it and you can't change it. They want to be there hovering the whole time. If they want that, that directly conflicts with somebody owning a physical unit of it that they can access and use whenever they want and share it with their friends and pass it along and do whatever they want. So instead of doing all the stupid steps in between, they're like, please, can we just skip to the end step? Can we skip all the stupid steps is what they're saying to everybody. They don't want all the hover, the weird stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just, I fear it is an inevitability, but completely jumping and taking it away is so short-sighted. and I'm really interested in what Kelsey was saying there, because like I haven't really thought about it that way of like, yeah, like why would anyone want to sell controllers if you make $2 and it's really like the thing that brings people in is the game. If you eliminate that market, it's going to shoot all those people in the foot. It's so short-sighted. Sure, you'll have that control post-launch, but like people don't trust you with that anyways, because I actually reread Sony and Microsoft's terms before this. Microsoft's isn't that bad. It's like if you're inactive on your account, they can delete the account, but not if you've made a purchase on the account. So if you've made a purchase on a Microsoft account and it's existing and it's like not just an ongoing subscription, like you bought something, they won't inactivate your account. That's what it states currently. That if that exists, they won't delete it. Sony, on the other hand, says if you don't activate your account within 36 months, they delete it and everything on it. So if I have $20,000 worth of games from a lifetime,
for 3 years,
and
they can just take it all away from you.
And they are legally allowed to go and delete your entire library and get rid of it.
And Sony already has proven that they suck, particularly because there have been multiple times where they sell movies and like TV shows, and there have been multiple times where they lose the license or whatever, and they're like, nope, those are just out of your account. We're not going to.
They just had it hundreds of movies just pulled. Yeah.
So
from your account.
And that's the other thing is that services conflict. Like you can kind of to step into their shoes for half a second. I promise, not for a long time. But like if you're providing a service, you don't necessarily want to put in writing, I'm going to provide this service until the sun explodes. Because like no one wants to say that. Like they never know what's going to happen next year, the year after. You know, they never want to guarantee that, because all of a sudden now you have a bunch of lawsuits happening when your company implodes and goes bankrupt. And now everyone's saying, well, you guaranteed this service until the sun explodes. Pay me out what damages I'm owed. So when they say like, our services are revocable, that's valid, but not if you completely control and monopolize the market in which everything is sold. Then that's conflictory, because how can you completely control the market and then say it's revocable at any time? Pick one or the other. You can't have both. Revoke the services if it's one of many options, and then I can decide, all right, I guess for convenience sake, I'll buy this, and then maybe Sony in 3 years when I have a coma and I come out, I lose all my games. That's on me. I could have bought physical. But don't cross your fingers. That's rude as hell. Or you can have that service last until the sun explodes, but be a monopoly. Like, I don't think you should be able to do both, and that's what they want to do.
Well, but you shouldn't be able to be a monopoly anyway, because then you can decide to do this. You know, then you make up all the rules. So
yes.
Why would you?
Right.
And that kind of flows into what Kelsey was saying. If you take out the option, then they won't go, should we make this $30? We don't have to even think about it anymore. 70 until F you, because they have no other costs to take into consideration.
There's no economic pressures if there are no options for consumers.
Right.
You know, so there's just no reason for them to do anything kind towards consumers if they're not being pressured by other options that consumers might go to instead.
Yeah.
And that seems a really good way to get sued in Europe, at least, of like...
The EU has the best consumer protection, right? So they're likely to have the most issues with this there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw one, I think Schreier might have mentioned that, like, well, they might continue selling cases with download codes in them, and that might be their answer
I'm not buying that.
No. No,
I'm a retailer. I'm telling you right now, I'm not buying that. So you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that you were saying that. It's just,
Jeff.
Even if they do that, and maybe Target decides that's a good idea for a little while, like, no, people aren't buying that. People barely buy key cards from my store. And those at least are a real thing.
Something that I've been struggling with, and kind of like how much do we care about this, is like discs haven't really had the game on them in a long 100%. Time.
This is honestly not a preservation argument at all.
Right. And it's similarly, it is when I think about like my favorite games from the past several years, most of them haven't got physical releases. And so like I saw that the Video Game History Foundation put out a statement that was like, this is not really doomsday for us because this was already like thinking of just buying discs was like an ineffective way of doing it. And what at least they said in that note was like, what it should encourage us all to think about is how we can preserve things in this kind of digital environment, and we love to change the laws so that libraries can store copies of games in playable states, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But like, it's one of the things that the conversation around this has been complicated, because when I think about like, what would having a disc of Elden Ring get me? You know, it's like, well, without access to the PlayStation Network, not much, because like, you know, the pre-release version of Elden Ring is like an unrecognizable game to the one that we all played.
That's what the TPMs are for, of like, keep checking in with us, keep logging on and connecting to the internet so we can check in on you, and then we'll let your version of the game work on an approved Sony system.
Yeah, I mean, you know, haven't been with the Video Game History Foundation in several years now, and I'm not really steeped in the preservation world anymore, but that was the sort of doomsday scenario from my perspective had already occurred a long time ago, when, you know, we had this ecosystem where the full games are not on the discs or on the cartridges in some cases anymore, and there were not like good ways for institutions to be preserving these things in the first place. The only like current legal option for a lot of places right now is just maintain your own copies of these and hope that you can sort of maintain any video game you want to preserve forever, either by having, you know, the rights holder donate you a copy. So reach out to every single video game maker ever to get their library and hope that they do that. And then maintain the hardware and hope the hardware doesn't break and everything. And it's just a very like, it's very backwards compared to how so many other things are allowed to exist in institutions. You know, you can absolutely have digital copies of books and digital copies of movies and all of these things that you can just say, yep, I'm checking this out, I'm researching this, whatever, I need to see this on my screen right now, populate this on my screen. And right now, the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, which is the sort of industry lobbyist group, has decided that that is always piracy. That is just always, if you might accidentally have fun by having a game in a library, then we can't do anything about it. No emulation, none of that. You can't have anything even for research. You have to simply maintain all of these copies to the best of your ability, and, you know, just hope none of these tens of thousands of games slip through the cracks. Good luck. The last thing I did when I was at the Video Game History Foundation, the last thing I worked on was the study that showed that 87% of video games are not accessible in any remotely reasonable way. Like, you know, again, you can go to a used game store and buy a Super Nintendo and a copy of Uniracers or whatever, but like, there's no, maybe that's a bad example. I think that was on the Super Nintendo Classic, but you get what I mean. There's no. Is it? Maybe it's not.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, then Uniracers is a great example then. There's no way to get that game other than having and maintaining vintage hardware. No way to just, like, still play that outside of that. Or piracy, but of course, you know. It's not cool to expect.
That's going to destroy the industry, though, Kelsey.
Right.
That's what's doing
bleeding
it.
out on a
just
sidewalk.
Like pirates on the sea. That's why they call it that, Kelsey. It's
Don't
scary.
you understand?
And all the MP3s are destroying the music industry. Yeah.
I think it is fair to say, and I know this is the opinion of the Video Game History Foundation's founder, at least, as well, is that piracy is kind of the only viable option right now for a lot of this stuff, and that's simply not cool. You shouldn't have to expect a like game studies professor to be like, all right, class, I want you all to play Chrono Trigger to learn a little bit about, you know, RPGs and stuff. You have to pirate it. Learn how emulators work and go pirate a copy, everybody. Like, that's not reasonable.
Yep, absolutely. A couple thoughts. They also announced, to less angry fanfare, I don't know the word, outrage, that's the word, July 27th, they are shutting down the PS3 and Vita stores, which honestly, when I saw that, I was like, wasn't this shut down so long ago?
They like didn't work already, basically. If you don't have an existing account, if you try to create one to download PS3 and Vita games, you get stuck in an endless loop. I tested this extensively. You can't make a new Like, I mean, maybe it was just my systems, but on both my PS3 and my Vita, if you try to create a new account, you can't.
Lovely. And so, yeah, they originally announced it in 2021, I think, best I can figure, going back to the annals of time to see that they were going to shut that down. There was such an outrage that they're like, we'll kick it down the road. So that's been kicked down the road 6 years now.
So you're more angry about a different thing and then slide the sun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, that's absolutely the PR strategy over there, right? But that's just a long way of saying of like, is there any amount of outrage that would make PlayStation change their minds about this topic?
Consumer laws. We need lawsuits.
Yeah, so,
we need people.
So the answer is no. It would have to be legal.
I mean,
not outrage.
I mean, it was 2013. What Xbox changed their path, you know?
It's not them announcing it this far in advance.
Yeah,
is because they absolutely are not going to change their mind. And I mean, like there's already been news that like they are changing their disc manufacturing warehouse into something that makes lenses. You know, it's like there is no turning back on this.
Yeah.
And also just from a strategy perspective that we talked about earlier, I mean, their strategy now is squeeze the existing PlayStation consumers, not add more people. So like if that's the strategy, then this is the only path that makes sense.
Right. Good times for everybody involved. There is also the great pivot, the great alley-oop that could happen for a certain company called Xbox that's desperate. What buttons can we push? Is there a universe where they just like 180 as hard as they possibly can? And Project Helix, the next console, it's like that's a key part of their messaging is like digital ownership, physical ownership. Look at these. And if they just complete reverse Uno,
if they reshoot video, that ad if that they Sony reshoot did to dunk them,
would that move a needle on Xbox is my question.
It moved a needle on Xbox when Sony did it to them and they backtracked everything.
I think a needle would move. I don't think it would be like Xbox is now on top, but I think it's I think the needle
will be filled with sedative.
I think there's a good chance that there is some messaging that comes out of Xbox where they say this, because Xbox is now just a company that says shit. Like they're like, we're gonna have 1 billion people a day.
They're like bad news machine is their business now.
It's like they do just kind of say words and they don't mean anything. But like, I don't think it's impossible, even though in reality, I do not think they will do anything of the sort.
Yeah.
You're assuming the Helix exists, Hanson, and that's your first mistake.
What? You don't believe that thing exists? I mean, I think it's coming out like next year or whatever. It's just going to be like $2,000.
Of course it will. Yeah, sure.
Wait, hang on, what's your theory? That they just haven't started working on the console?
That they're totally floundering and closing everything down, and they don't know what the they're doing.
They obviously don't know what the they're doing, but there is a conveyor belt with a console on it at some point in that system. Anyways, that reminds me.
I do think it gets canceled for what it's worth. That's my hot take. I don't know that there is another Xbox console, but
interesting.
I do. I thought about this.
Oh, sure. Kelsey says it, and it's interesting.
I'm just so glad she's here. She makes good points.
That's such a valid point, Jeff.
to be clear, Jeff, I think the difference is I think they are working on it. I think it will get canceled. I think what you're saying is it's not real at all.
They've been lying.
Look, if we never see it, is this just like a Schrodinger's cat thing? Was it ever real, or did they cancel it?
Yeah, a cat in the Xbox.
A tree fell on it, a cat died.
For what it's worth, though, Ben, I was thinking about this, too. I was like, this is theoretically an opportunity. I don't think that version of Xbox exists anymore. The one that can like bounce back with this. And I mean, they their whole strategy for like pretty good amount of time for the last several years has been you don't need to buy games anymore, you can just subscribe. So like you're kind of now like doing telling people never mind, buy the games again.
Well, I do think it seems like the big pivot that we're gonna get to in a little bit in this episode, after a very uplifting, heartwarming, sincere rhythm heaven groove conversation, is that idea of like Game Pass. It seems like a bit of a failure at this point. It's kind of bleeding out. Numbers are not where they want it to be. And so if they're pivoting away from Game Pass, maybe it's like, I don't know, what's the opposite? I don't know. Collector's editions. F it.
That'd be so crazy.
They are literally going to look. We'll save it. They're going to sell Xbox. That's the pivot. They're going to be, what if Microsoft didn't
To
own
who?
this
Elon
company
Musk?
anymore?
To Saudi Arabia. To Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
He already has X as a
Totally.
website. He only needs 3 more letters.
Xbox. It's the everything console. Hey, everybody. When I think everything, I think food. When I think food, I only think one thing. That's right.
Devouring the rich.
Eat them alive. Factor Meals now supplies rich people in a box. Get them delivered right to your
Yay.
door and eat their flesh.
Do we get in trouble when we do stuff like that, or are you just
don't
cool
know.
about it?
Factor Meals, everybody. They deliver food. It's not people, and it's good. I truly am delighted every time Factor Meals rolls around, and they shipped out a couple boxes of delicious food, Jeff. I'm talking Mediterranean food, Asian food, everything ready in 2 minutes. You pop it in your microwave, ready to go. Shipped out a couple boxes to me recently. My fridge is overflowing with it, and I thought, I can eat well and eat easy thanks to Factor Meals. I can sit back and relax, and then a tip tap on my door. One Sarah Podzorski comes by to drop off a camera, and she sneaks over to the fridge and I say, "No, Sarah, stop." And she said, "I will not be stopped." And she opened the fridge like a burglar in The Sims. And she grabbed at least half of my Factors and ran away in glee because she knows how delicious all of that fresh, never frozen food is going to be. Factor Meals, everybody. They have great options for everybody. It really is awesome. Ready in 2 minutes, Factor shops, preps, cooks, and delivers straight to your door so you have more time for everything that you love doing in the summertime. Don't spend it in the kitchen. Spend it eating delicious, healthy food. You can head to factormeals.com/MinnMax50off and use code MinnMax50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscription only while supplies last until September 27th, 2026. You can see the website for more details. Link in the description if you want to get a great discount on a great food service like Factor Meals. I truly love them. Just like I love Rhythm Heaven Groove, baby. Summertime, we're all in it. I feel like there's
I gotta get my stress levels down.
I know, I'm all worked up.
cleanse.
And he's going to hit us again.
In the music of the lady chopping tomatoes, Ben. Can you just play that?
Oh my God. Also,
love that one.
Character of the year so far is that lady grabbing those vegetables. She might be my favorite video game character.
Yeah, because
ever.
you like how she wiggles her ass.
I didn't go that far, but it might be a factor. Okay, everybody. We're trying to have a good conversation about grooves. We can't talk about butts.
Yuck.
This is the new Rhythm Heaven
technically
game.
does have a groove in it.
Okay, everybody. Next you're going to say butts are heaven. Jeff 'em, please. This is a family-friendly show. But this is the new Rhythm Heaven game. On the Switch and Switch 2. Kelsey, I associate you so much with Rhythm Heaven, and tell me if I'm conflating or exaggerating the story, but I think we were in Portland, right? And there was like the arcade machine for Rhythm Heaven. I'm like, oh my God, Rhythm Heaven Arcade. I've never played that. Sega produced it. I can't wait to see it. And you said, oh, I have one of those in my house.
It's not, well, so here's the sad part. It never made it into my house because it doesn't fit through any of my doors.
Oh, no.
So we had like a storage kind of office space we were renting for a little while where it was, and I would play it sometimes. Then it moved into a storage unit. It is in a storage unit, unfortunately.
Oh my God, the storage wars of Kelsey's unit. Can you imagine that episode? They would go feral in there.
Is that a new
So
show
I
for us?
honestly,
Can we just figure out what that is later?
Ooh, that'd
Storage
be
Wars
fun.
of
Storage
Kelsey's
Wars.
unit.
That'd be sick.
don't talk about my unit like that.
Okay. What happened to this show? We used to be top
I like
rated.
this show.
Oh, of course you do.
You brought up a bunch of
Everything
butt
is
stuff.
pew bang
is the
now.
problem.
Sorry.
What does everybody think of Rhythm Heaven Groove so far?
It's so cute and dumb. Oh,
Yeah.
what a nice cute and dumb thing to be dumb and cute and watch.
That's exactly it. It is. I feel guilty about how much I like the Rhythm Heaven series, and maybe especially this one. Just the idea of like, it is so bare bones simple. I feel guilty about the idea of like, oh no, there's just a nice, cute little song and some wacky little animations that'll try and make you laugh on screen, and you just hit the A button, maybe the down button every once in a while if you're nasty, and that's the game. And you go through all these micro games. But if you've never played it, there's a free demo. At least check it out, right? It is from a designer on WarioWare. that he spun off in 2006 and released for the Game Boy Advance.
So apparent.
The first one.
As someone who's only played WarioWare, and this is my first Rhythm Heaven, I was like, this is just WarioWare in a different font.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, it's really like the sister series to WarioWare.
Yeah.
It has so much DNA overlap, but all the micro games are about just pressing the button at the right time for this thing. And Jacob, I'm so curious, as somebody who also loved Rhythm Doctor that came out last year, and I feel like the way we talked about it is like you didn't know if it was just like the first time you experienced one of those games, and that's why you enjoyed Rhythm Doctor so much, because you'd never dabbled in Rhythm Heaven.
Well, you're doing Rhythm Heaven a disservice by introducing it in this way, because I love rhythm games. I am happy doing anything in beat with the music. I think Rhythm Heaven is a supremely charming game. Rhythm Doctor is 100 times better, but that doesn't make Rhythm Heaven bad. It's just like, it is weird to play the game that is like, it's literally better in every way. But like, I still really appreciate what Rhythm Heaven is doing.
Well, hang on. It's an interesting debate. I do think Rhythm Doctor is better than this game. It does have the variety of like Rhythm Doctor. It's all about like, hey, you press on the 7th note. This time it's like, hey, you're pressing different buttons. We're going to change it up a little bit. But I think the creativity in Rhythm Doctor and the music, I do think is better than this experience overall. But then there's part of me where I'm like, well, it changes it so much with these little micro games and Rhythm Heaven. There's always like silly animations happening that make me laugh. But it's like, I guess Rhythm Doctor has that too.
There's nothing in this game that is better than what Rhythm Doctor is doing. But
the vegetable cutter?
Ben, you have not played. Oh my God! Here's my time to declare it. Yeah. Rhythm Doctor came out on December 6th, 2025. I am fighting for it hard in the 2/10s of 2026. Like it is going to be on the list, and I am going to be fighting for moments and the game's inclusion. I'm just calling my shot here.
Yeah.
But
all right, I'll go back to it.
It's just because you have been served like, you know, a Ghirardelli chocolate made by an artisan does not mean that you can't enjoy a handful of chocolate chips. And like Rhythm Heaven is totally a handful of chocolate chips, and I mean that in an extremely positive way. Like it's so, I only have fun with it. It's great. It is just hilarious to play this game where it's like, when was the last Rhythm Heaven game?
2015 for Mega Mix on 3DS.
Mega Mix.
It's like, I know that making every game is hard, and I was thinking about this in like grand designs term, Ben, you know, where it's like, sometimes you watch them build a house and it's like, oh my God, every single thing went wrong. What could happen? And I was like thinking about Rhythm Heaven. I was like, was the development of this stressful? Because it really is just like 20 incredibly cute, incredibly simple mini games with nice music that will occasionally get stuck in your head.
I do think like you look at like the credits and it's like a pretty small team relatively. I think that's kind of like what makes me so happy playing Rhythm Heaven also is just think about the idea of like, God bless this series for sticking around. This is a series that should have been like an anomaly on the Game Boy Advance, but because of, I guess, the sustainability of Nintendo and these folks sticking around for so long, they're like, yeah, we'll keep dabbling with this every once in a while. You know, like the last one, I think on the Mega Mix, I guess sold like 1 million copies. And for this day and age to have like a big company like Nintendo be like, yeah, it's good enough for us, make another one. Like, I just feel like that's so rare. And I think part of it is just the budget being low, you know, maybe the art being a first pass iteration, you know, it's like, just get it out the door. You'll have fun.
It looks good. Like, it looks like a Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to pad out a console with stuff like that when every Zelda has a few years between it, every Mario. It's like, what else is kind of Nintendo coded? These like WarioWare, Rhythm Heaven, like those types of things padded out nicely.
Yeah, I think so. Kelsey, what stands out to you about the new one?
I like the other little things that they've included, the little RPG.
Yeah,
although I'm not as good at that one. I don't know if I feel like I'm very good at the mini games, and the RPG I'm like kind of bad at.
Is it weird because
the
like
RPG you've got to push, you've got to like do different things. It's like different rhythms and stuff.
Yeah.
It is like it's interesting.
That's at the top of the towers of each like thing is, right? Like that's also changing things up.
Really.
I'm good at those.
But I think it's weird with that one because it like shows you where you're pressing it also on the meters.
Yeah.
So like you're seeing how far off you are. And I think this game is like really forgiving, especially coming from Rhythm Doctor, which is tough, a normal difficulty. But for this game to be like, I have not failed yet. I've just manually restarted because I'm like, that's below my threshold. And even when I feel like I'm a complete failure, and then it gets to the end, it's like, pretty good, really pass. Good. So it's like, wait, what? That? You're accepting that garbage? Okay. Yeah. All right, we're still rolling.
Oh my God, the moon sneeze one? Yeah, I got like 3 guys through, and it still said pretty good. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I caught 1 frisbee.
Frisbees are tough.
Oh, really?
Jumping one, yeah.
The frisbee one is actually most similar to Rhythm Doctor.
Yeah, I think my Rhythm Doctor, like...
I have no rhythm, and I'm very bad at these games. And then I'm also playing with my 5-year-old, which is like, it's really fun to see him, get really excited. He really likes the car one, where the car speeds up and brakes, of course.
Who wouldn't?
But then most of the time has been him completely losing his shit and being like, Dad, why can't I do this right?
Oh no!
And it really needs a kid mode, even more than normal mode is a kid mode.
Like a no-fail mode. You'd think that'd be in the options
somewhere. Let him get through the alien one. He loves the alien one, and
I love that alien. Why is it so satisfying for the alien to go meep meep meep, and then you go ma ma?
It's just because you like disclosure.
No, not that one. That one absolutely kills me for some reason. Like one of the two rhythms in that one is just way too hard. But the co-op ones are different. And the two player one has an alien one where you're both shooting lasers together. And when he's actually sometimes he does better than I do at it. And it's really heartwarming to see. So he gets through something and he's really excited and I'm really excited for him. So it is ultimately a nice game to play with a kid, but it could use a secret parental no lose mode.
That would be nice.
What if you just hand him a controller and you play behind him? Well, I guess that wouldn't work if you're also not good. No, he's getting mad at your mistakes.
He's not. Yes. Why isn't my controller working?
Yeah, I'm curious to see, because I had a tough time with the one where it's like Bruce Springsteen on Sesame Street, basically, of like press A when it crosses the screen.
Oh yeah,
I'll leave you to see that one, but I'm curious if the kid
PEASODA COCOA.
That's also the one that I think has made me laugh the hardest, because that is kind of the magic of this series. It's like it's a rhythm game, but it's kind of more of a comedy game than anything else. And the idea of like having these stock images of people like sipping tea and hot chocolate every time you hit on the beat with A is so damn silly.
That one, the stock photos of what just looks like hot Ryan Gosling holding tea that pop up every time you spell tea is the biggest laugh of the game.
Just a cool
I want to like pay attention to and credit the writing of the game is very funny in kind of understated ways, but like every description of the mini game is like funny in a way that it doesn't have to be.
Yes.
Where it's just like a little cute, a little quirky. It's not as aggressive as like the Animal Crossing puns or something, but it's just kind of like they could have said, that dog's back again, throw it more frisbees, but like it's just like it is full of personality in all of these little places that it wouldn't have to be for it to still function as a game.
Yeah, there's one early on where it's like, hey, this little kid programmed this game himself, but it's almost like a commentary on Rhythm Heaven in some ways, where like in the description just says, the game may be a little basic, but the developer tried really hard. And then you play it, it's like, I kind of like the art in this one more than most. Like I like it when it gets a little more stylized instead of just kind of like smooth flash animation look for a lot of these things overall, you know? I also liked when the credits roll, which I think is like after 6 columns that you clear out, and it's like, hey, it seems like a good time to take a break, maybe introduce some of the people who made this game, and then that scrolls up. But the thing that kills me is like they have the credits of all the singers for the songs, but a lot of them are just question marks, because I guess where the credits roll, they don't want to reveal who's going to be singing in upcoming songs that you haven't seen yet. It's like, this is an insane take, but sure.
I like that text-to-speech robot that says here are the credits. At the beginning of the game, it basically asks you, like, hey, here I am, I'm talking. Do you want all the text in this game read out loud? If so, press yes. And I was like, well, I don't need a text-to-speech thing. And so I pressed no, and then the robot immediately looked so sad that I had said, no, I don't want the text-to-speech. I was like, oh, should I have said yes?
If you like hover over it, like you hover over the no, and they're like, they got their head down all sad, and the other ones, they're like, yay.
It is funny how much the animations can kill you. Like, even in games, too, where it's like, especially when there's like rows of people all moving, whenever you're just a little bit offbeat and somebody gives you a look, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, it just like kills you. Like,
I love that. The cat roll one.
Yeah.
Like, the cat in front of you, bump into her, she literally goes like this. Not like it's different every time, I swear, how long she looks at you. So it feels very natural. Like, you'd think it would just be part of the animation to look behind and keep going, but she's like,
what are you doing? Yeah.
And then keeps going, and it feels so real.
The sweeping one is really good for that as well. Where you like spin around and you're just constantly knocking into people on both sides and they get all pissed at you. It's very cute.
Also, on the writing front, before I forget, I think it's like a really good little game design lesson in this as well, where like the tutorials can be a little bit long. At times I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and skip this tutorial. I think I'll get it. I'm like, oh, that's right. There's always some phase 2 thing that's going to throw me off. I guess I have to sit through the basic thing. I guess I'll learn it. But it's so smart where it's like, they just want you to like press the button for a little bit to be like, oh, you hit A to swing your sword. And I love it so much because like, it would be so much flatter if it just said like, press the A button 5 times to swing your sword, and we'll wait until you do that. But instead, every time they do that, throughout all of the tutorials, it's always like, press it like 3 or 4 times or something. Like, it's always like phrased in a very casual way, and it makes it
go ahead and swing that sword around.
Yeah, it's nice.
Those tutorials are great for young kids as well. Like,
right.
Like the fact that they are overly lengthy is just the amount of time that they need to actually figure out what's going on and get slightly.
And it's so nice in this one too, how you can have like the example too, like whenever you're like, what is this timing? Yeah. I don't understand what this rhythm is. Like, oh, okay, that's the weird beat for the slamming the mallet on the can on the assembly line thing. Yes. Let me just see that example real quick of where it pops up. And also like, there's homages to previous Rhythm Heaven stuff and whatnot, but like I'm kind of in love that so much of it is new. It's not just like Mega Mix, which I guess that was kind of the appeal of Mega Mix. It was like, here's just kind of everything you've experienced before with some new stuff thrown in there. But it's like, oh, we're shaking it up this time.
Have you got into the, I don't know, the like inverse world, the kind of upside down?
No,
where it's like when you play enough of it, it kind of, it just reveals a new world to you. And I think in there are more homages to previous games, but it's like you have to get like most of the way through the game, or at least to see all the new stuff before they start showing you the old stuff.
Yeah.
In a way that's really, and there's one where like it's really fun. You're doing one of the remixes, and there's like maybe literally the first level of Rhythm Heaven on the Game Boy, which is the one where you're the karate man and you're punching things.
Yeah.
And in this, it's a slightly different. You're catching things instead of punching things, but you're still playing that same karate man, same art style, and you're playing it. And he's like, you're getting like flashes of the old games while he's catching stuff, and it's like he's remembering. It's very cute and very kind of like, it's like, oh my god, he remembers the karate man.
Awesome. Speaking of remembering, this was a real Lega sequel pop, if you will. Like I was losing my mind when it popped up. I think it's like the second remix in the game. It's like, oh, it's Hots Mike, who did my favorite song from Mega Mix, I'm a Lady Now. And she's singing a new song. Like, so 3DS, second remix is the best song ever recorded on planet Earth, I'm a Lady Now. But it was sung by the musician of this game series, Sunku, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that right. But it was his daughter when she was like 7 or something recorded that. And it's just absurd. And so now she's back singing a new remix for this one. And the song is called Soon Be a Lady. And I was like, oh my God, it's the follow-up to I'm a Lady Now? Not that good, but still fun to see like this call. It's fun to be like, oh my God, it's been so long that she is truly a lady now. Like her voice is just an adult woman singing. It's really kind of sweet to
that's cute.
Read in between the lines like that. And I was looking back, Kelsey, on like some old Iwata Asks, like the greatest game interviews we'll ever have for Nintendo stuff, just to try and figure out that history of like where the series came from and the composer. Like Sunku was like a big songwriter and singer in Japan and stuff. And I don't know if you have more of a history just off the top of your head or something, but he has like a wild history where he's like one of the best-selling musicians in Japan, apparently. And he talked about like when he started working with this team, like he brought all the Nintendo designers to like learn how to dance. And they were all very uncomfortable. And they're like, you know what? He was like on tour and he was really busy. But he really gave it his all, and we remember him like chugging energy drinks as he was trying to teach us how to dance, and it was really fun. It was like such a sweet tone. And then the kind of great tragedy here is he was diagnosed with throat cancer, I believe it was, like during the development of Mega Mix, and so he actually had his vocal cords removed. And so it's a wild saga where he still like wrote the music for this game, but he's just not singing on any of it now naturally. So it has like this sweet undercurrent for such a silly series, you know? So I guess gaming is good, you guys. Irish close on episode.
The thing we went to cheer ourselves up with ended on a sad note.
And then he lost his ability to sing. We can't play video games anymore.
But the art continues, you know? Nothing can stop us now. We'll all be ladies soon.
No, I actually don't know that much about the development of Rhythm Heaven, and now I want to learn more.
Yeah, the Iwata Ass has like a little bit, not nearly enough, but yeah, it's just nice to see, as we talked about in an earlier episode this year, right, with Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven, that like weird Nintendo can still have a pull. You know, I'm still so excited every time this game makes me laugh. And look, maybe I'm an easy mark for like what this team does, in particular, like WarioWare. I think still people bash the last couple of Switch games, but it's like some of the funniest games of all time, right? And just
and it's we've talked a lot about how we want to see. It's like, what do we want to see game studios doing? And it's like, give smaller teams smaller budgets and just let them do something. And this is totally Nintendo's version of that, which is like easy to forget because it is a long running series. But it's like, you know, for Nintendo, this is like a rounding error compared to like a Zelda development or something, and it's really cool that they're like, let's get it out there.
Yeah. So I think it's a $50 on Switch or Switch 2 if you want to check out Rhythm Heaven Groove. What a delight to come back to and just have on the. Also, it's so much better to play handheld. I don't know if it's just like the history of the series roots or stuff. But I'm like, I just don't trust my TV in the delay.
Oh, it's screaming me on the TV.
Yeah.
It's like, you should be doing this.
Stop it.
Yes, and I did. It's like, I knew my TV was kind of off, but I like almost had a breakdown where I was like doing so badly, and I was like, I'm good at this. I'm good at rhythm games. I'm good. And then I had to take it off and be like, oh wait, no, in handheld I'm fine. But it was like, it is so dispiriting to be doing poorly. And it was with the dog one that I was like, I can't do it on my TV. And then in handheld, you know, it worked.
Yeah. There we go, everybody. Hey, speaking of music and audio, I don't know if you all are familiar with this company called the Good Story Guild, but they are known for their scripted and unscripted audio shows, the Ambi-nominated limited series in media res, Josie's Lonely Hearts Club, Ley Lines, a ton more out there, and they're branching out into video games now. And so they want everybody to know about a narrative adventure game called Cat Secretary. They say, save the company, stop the AI takeover, boop all the office supplies. When a stray cat got hired by our multinational entertainment conglomerate obsessed with infinite growth, they had no idea there would be a dark side. It's not all scritches and treats for Dox's first feline employee, Haley McLean. There's a conspiracy to replace the human employees with robots, and the more they unravel the plot, the more the little paws get tangled in the malicious threads, featuring a fully voice-acted cast, including Sam Burt, Kyle Prue, and more. You can join the fight against generative AI and support this 100% human-powered project by adding Cat Secretary to your Steam wishlist and playing the demo, which is available on Steam today. So thanks to Good Story Guild for jumping in here. If you like their audio content, you can check out Cat Secretary if you like. Xbox. You know them? You might love them. If you do, we understand you're having a tough time. This is kind of the follow-up conversation.
Look, everyone's having a tough time right now.
Oh my God, everyone's having a tough time. So if you remember, Jason Schreier was on the podcast a couple weeks ago to talk about the Studio Doom, the sort of Damocles hanging over some of our favorite studios where we're like, we don't know what's going to go on with them. They're trying to spin out. I don't know if they can. That axe has fully come down. The sword turned into an axe.
No, it hasn't been. It's halfway come down.
That's a great point. So there's a lot of headlines, and each of them is worthy of an hour-long discussion. Here's the big idea. is Xbox is laying off 3,200 employees this year, which is 20% of the overall organization with the new leadership. This is their big quote reset of Xbox. Now the weird part, the surreal part, is it's 1,600 employees now, and then another 1,600 by within 12 months. And so for so many employees at Xbox now, they're just working every day going, am I going to have a job within the next 12 months? I don't know exactly what's happening here. So morale has gotten...
Super good for morale. Great move.
Morale has gotten even lower.
Good for creative work.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they have spun off several studios we'll get to, but speaking of that morale front, a lot of layoffs across a lot of different studios, MinnMax Studios Online, Elder Scrolls Online people, they have been gutted in a big way. Obsidian has lost 25%. When you think of like all the studios that should be safe, Obsidian has been working its butt off cranking out Xbox games.
Five games since they got purchased from Microsoft. 2 Groundeds, 2 Outer Worlds, Avowed, and Pentiment.
Yep.
What do you have to do?
If you were like, what original games does Xbox have?
It's all from
the
them.
only games I would think of are Obsidian.
Yep, and still 25% of them are getting the axe. And then at the same time, Jason Schreiber over at Bloomberg, and a lot of this reporting comes from Bloomberg, also announced that like they have pivoted. They were working on an Avowed sequel. Apparently that is basically as idle as it can possibly get, and they're shifting everybody over to a new Fallout game led by Josh Sawyer, who was the director for Fallout New Vegas. And so it's one of those things that like, I guess it makes sense for Microsoft to be making a Fallout game before Bethesda gets around to Fallout 5 in the year 2040. At the same time, it's like, we can't expect that new Fallout game for another 5 years. So it's not like this is like easy fix. Here we go.
I mean, and it seems like a good smaller team project is what I would say about Fallout.
It's going to be a beast, right? And so Obsidian, they are cranking games out, you know, and like hopefully the team that's left has enough morale to keep working safely. And so we'll see when that can happen. And then on top of that, id, they just released the Doom expansion, and they have lost 50%. And so they're just saying like, we are gutted. We are devastated.
Including, I think they said the entire tech team.
Seems like an issue.
I think was one of the things.
Imagine how much you would have needed to lost the plot to lay off id's tech people.
Right. Yeah. It's brutal, right? Layoffs all over the place.
And,
please.
But Bethesda too. There was one of like the senior designers of she did the Khajiit and the lizard people from all the Elder Scrolls games. She's been there like 25 years or whatever. There was a report that she was looking for work now too.
Yeah, also the accessibility team has been nuked. I think the people, there's like someone who's like the person in charge of backwards compatibility. You know, it's like it's not just from studios, it's also just like kind of Xbox infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which is like the Xbox accessible controller is like probably the best accessibility tool that the video game industry has produced. And it's like, oh, why save those people? Get them the hell out of here. Yeah,
on the Bethesda thing, I don't know if you saw, but it was like the Bethesda Game Studios Union. They had a picture in the lobby at Bethesda Game Studios of just like several of the people that were laid off. And it's like, hey, celebration of service. Just like a little picture memorial for like, hey, being sad about our friends that were let go. And HR made them take down the celebration of service and remove that from the lobby.
Cool stuff.
Jeff, I know you weren't there.
It's cartoonish sometimes.
It is absurd. Like it reminds me of like Game Informer had those layoffs in 2019, right before I got the hell out of there. And we were yelled at by GameStop, our contact at GameStop, because we were being unprofessional by posting on social media about the fact that we were sad that our friends were let go. They called that unprofessional. It's like, okay, thanks, guys. It just feels that thing. Cool like, you can't acknowledge you're sad. You can't acknowledge these were people. Come on.
This is actually really good, guys. It's fine.
And what happened to all the other staff at Game Informer in like the 2 years after that left? How much turnover was there? How many other people left and went other places?
Right. And so that's the thing. I'm sure a lot of people in these Microsoft studios as well are just like, all right, how the hell do I get out of here? So Chris Kerr, on Blue Sky, he posted just a rundown of like after the Activision Blizzard merger, January 2024, there were 1,900 layoffs. May 2024 was when Arcane Austin, Tango, and AlphaDog were shut down. September 2024, there were 650 Xbox layoffs. July 2025, Microsoft cut 9,100 jobs, including a lot of Xbox staff. And then July 2026, 3,200 real storage. So like they are just taking huge swaths of the axe. And the part that just kills me is like, what? To what end? Like the goal is to go back to where Xbox was in like 2017 when it was also failing. Like there's no upside. And Asha Sharma also said in that post, like, hey, we want to have 1 billion players per day. Right now, we don't quite have 1 billion players per year, but the goal is 1 billion players per day.
I do feel like it's important to get the weird phrasing of it right, Please. Which is like we want Xbox to be a brand that entertains 1 billion people a day.
Okay.
Which in my mind, I have seen kind of industry analysis. I mean, obviously it's meaningless. The current, someone was like, Xbox currently has 1 billion players a year.
Yeah.
So right. It's like, oh, we just need to get
casual 365 times growth. Like, yes, no big deal.
This is part of the reasoning of why Microsoft is potentially just aiming to sell Xbox off as an entity entirely, is kind of it being a brand that entertains 1 billion a year feels like it is language designed to attract an outside buyer who sees, 1 billion people a day as like, oh, wow, what a good opportunity. 1 billion people a day.
The other read on that, and
sorry, Kelsey, that really sounds like it was written for Musk specifically. Because I think he's the only one who would fall for that.
That would be 69 billion a day.
69 billion. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
The other read on that, I think, is that. So I mean, they do also have, they've got Mojang and they've got like the, King, the Candy Crush people, all that. But when I look at that number, I am thinking the only thing that does 1 billion people a day at all is sometimes occasionally TikTok. That's it. Like that's the only platform that exists that is doing that to my knowledge. I guess I did a little bit of research trying to figure this out. Like, that's is nice anyone context. Doing 1 billion a day? And it's like something TikTok has hit that
crazy
before.
What? So, 1 billion a day?
But like, when I think about that, I'm like, the only way to have that many people is to do something that is addictive in a predatory way, which is what we have with a lot of these like other social media companies and stuff that are contributing to those numbers. So I hear that and I'm like, obviously it's a completely ridiculous number, but the only way to start getting towards that number is to adopt the types of practices that like keep people addicted to your stuff. Well, and they have some infrastructure for this with games like Candy Crush and Minecraft that they can kind of like introduce even more addictive things to. But not that any one of those individually is going to hit that metric, but I just... 1 billion people is not like that's not a real number.
It's not, but that's the thing is anybody can say anything. Anyone can just say it. Like what does that mean, right? She's not going to lose her job because of it because they're not hitting it. But like that is the big thing, right? Is with the restructuring, a lot of it was like we're focusing on reducing the overhead, reducing producers on the teams. We want to kind of make these leaner, meaner productions. Like that's the overall idea. And in that restructuring, according to Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, it's also the idea of like. We're focusing on King, Candy Crush, and specifically Mojang with Minecraft is like, you now report directly to Asha Sharma. And so that is an interesting wrinkle, and that's a little bit more insight. If they want to try and perhaps court more of that Roblox audience, build that up, it's like Minecraft is their best bet for leaning more into user-generated content and try and use Minecraft to go directly at Roblox even more than it already is. I feel like it's already fully in that arena, so I don't know what that looks like, but it is telling that it's like, okay, everyone's still reporting to Matt Booty and the others, but Minecraft, you're mine, baby. Like, I am going to be leaning as heavily on you as possible because that's their best property right now for a wide audience, especially because the only conceivable world where they could hit that audience was kind of what they were trying the last 5 years of like streaming. Let's try and get streaming Game Pass games going in like Africa and more of Asia. Like maybe that's their best chance. And then now they're pivoting so hard from that it's like, okay, now you're completely out of your minds.
Netflix is like 300 million subscribers. There's no effing way Game Pass is getting to 1 billion people for that.
I think we're maybe putting too much emphasis on this because I think it's just nothing.
It's nonsense.
It's saying nothing. It's like saying, and we're gonna give more. We're gonna pay attention to the players more than any time before. What does that mean? Nothing. They are just saying words, and I think. One of the interesting things, there's a good Gita Jackson wrote a piece on Aftermath about Asha Sharma as a pain sponge, which is somewhat different than, and I've seen people also saying that she was basically set up on a glass cliff, which is she was hired to take the fall for the past decade of Xbox's poor decisions, but this is just kind of like she is just here to absorb everything bad that happens. And it's like, I think how much of this is actually represents company maneuvers versus just kind of cutting costs while saying things to make it seem like they have a strategy other than just reducing the number of salaries that they're paying.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of the main thing.
Yes, and then she can write a book 10 years from now about what a disruptor she is. Right? I just kind of get in that classic thing of like, radical transformation, trying the best. So there's also a big thing that we have not really hit yet of the studios that were kind of doomed. There is an interesting wrinkle there, right? So a couple things. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs apparently will be sold. They're courting buyers. It's the weird thing of trying to figure out what other publisher could possibly buy the developers of State of Decay 3 and also buy State of Decay 3 then as well. And Senua apparently is going to stay in production as well. So who's buying Ninja Theory? It is.
You just know Xbox gets to keep a huge rev share even with that model that they sell it off and stuff like that. Oh my God, 100%. Yeah. I've never done I've done work for like, we're taking this back situations, never with Xbox, but it's always like, dance, puppet dance, what do you want? It's never like the gracious thing that sometimes a headline can make it seem like they get their IP back. There's always 1,000 contingencies on how they get it back.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. There is the odd wrinkle of also Double Fine and Compulsion Games. So South of Midnight developers and Double Fine, Psychonauts team, that they are now going independent. They're being spun out. Which is like, I wonder how much is like they're requesting that or they couldn't find a buyer. It seems like they would want their independence back. So it's like there is that silver lining if you're going to look at that of like, okay, I mean, it's better than these studios being shut down. The fact these studios are going to be spun out independent again.
You want to know a real silver lining?
Please.
As far as I can tell, Double Fine not on the BDS list anymore.
Oh, interesting. Hey, Jacob,
I can play Keeper.
Keeper's cool. You'll like the ending. Yeah, enjoy, man.
The silver lining of it is a little hard to swallow when you took all these companies, you took them out of the ecosystem that they were trying to survive in, and then you gave away all of their games for free. Like whatever output they had, it was like, hey, we didn't sell any of these. So I'm not surprised that Double Fine would potentially be having a tough time finding a buyer when like any buyer is going to say, well, how many copies of your last game did you sell? And they'd have to say, well, it was on Game Pass, so technically like 0, but like we're really good at making it's like you're taking a baby duckling out of the pond and you're not teaching it how to grow up or anything, and then you're throwing it out in the wild and being like, well, I didn't kill it, so like I'm super cool, right?
Yeah. I will say, yes, you're totally right. And it like I do think it is going to be tough times for Compulsion and Double Fine. Hopefully they can stay the current sizes that they're at, but obviously being a mid-range independent studio is pretty brutal out there. It is wild to me that, and I remember, Jeff, when we had this debate on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, right, of that idea of like the era of a mega corporation like Xbox or Microsoft caring about goodwill. But that idea of like, they didn't kill these studios, they're creating a financial runway is the way they phrase it with them, and they let them keep their IP It's like, that seems pretty wild to me. Not good guy Xbox, but like
there's liens on the IP. There's definitely like debt they have to pay back before it's fully theirs and assigned over. Like, I don't think it's as good faith as you think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if we don't have the terms of these agreements, I don't think we can make
it's never just buy. Sorry. It's like, here's phase 1 of repayment. Here's phase 2. Here's phase 3. And then you're free.
And going to someone like Tim Schafer and being like, hey, the money that we gave, that we bought your company for, like, you can give us probably most of that back in order to try, like, gamble on your own independence now is putting a ton of pressure on them while also, like, relieving themselves from the responsibility of being a super shitty company that's doing this out of greed and kind of, like, trying to dress it up as, like, oh, well, gee, we're just simple people who are trying to put meat and potatoes on our plate for our families, and it's a
solid gold meat, diamond potatoes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly. I mean, there's so many reports about how much profit Microsoft is making overall, and so the way Asha Sharma explained it, she said the acquisitions created meaningful value of these studios, but they did not grow at the pace we expected. In a typical year, Xbox was losing 64 cents for every dollar it invested in the business. And then she wrote, it is neither possible nor desirable to own every great independent studio.
Why'd you
Then you shouldn't have fucking bought them.
That's the issue.
That wasn't her, though.
It wasn't her.
No, it wasn't her, but also...
No, but she's talking for the company. Like, yeah, I don't want to blame... I'm not blaming her personally, although she probably had AI
you can
right
too. It's just, yeah, it is weird that the corporate strategy was... like, we should buy everyone. That's a really good idea. It really isn't a good idea for us to have all of these studios.
It's so insane. Yes, and the message too of like them just being like, you know what the secret to success is? Let's double down and only focus on big, really profitable games. It's like, great idea. Write it down. Why isn't everybody trying this? Genius. Like, let's see how it goes. I feel like this is where Microsoft is at, where Sony's at. It is such a great example of just like, I think at a certain size, game companies do not work anymore. The size of these corporations, they are crumbling from within, and you look at just the amount of games available to everybody, these giant corporations are not sustainable, and they're just going to scramble and bleed out.
Yeah, yes, ultimately, but it's the only reason they're that size is because they want infinite growth, and that is the thing that is broken. Like, Japanese developers, they're not as big as Microsoft, certainly, but like they have figured out a way to make games in a sustainable way, and that way is they're just not looking to top every quarter after quarter for the end of time. Like, Game Pass maxed out at like 30 million subscribers, right? 30 million subscribers a month. So it's like,
I think that's what the last time they reported. So we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have the goal, specifically, they have the goal of reaching 77 million subscribers, according to Bloomberg, by the fiscal year 2026. Today, the platform has under 30 million subscribers, according to a person familiar with the matter. 4 million fewer than it did when the company last publicly shared in 2024. So
because they doubled the price of it for infinite growth. But it's like when if you had 30 million people giving you $10 to $15 every month, like you're bringing in like $3 billion a month. At some point, you have to look at the numbers and be like, well, this is good. This is good enough. And also, like, Xbox is probably the only part of our company that people actually used to like. Like, nobody likes Microsoft. Nobody uses Microsoft products because they like Microsoft. We use it because we're forced to, because every PC comes with Windows, or every institution, like, forces you to use Office or fucking Outlook. Nobody likes using Outlook for their emails. Like, you are a hated company, and the one thing that people actually liked about you was your Xbox brand before you did all this shit. And you have to like there's like no factoring in anything other than just, did the number go up from last quarter?
Right.
And if it doesn't, then we'll burn everything until it does.
For a corporation that is very much in the black every year, right? It's not like the corporation is bleeding out, but the Xbox division, we're not making as much money as we want to. Therefore.
And none of that mattered when they were spending $69 billion to buy Activision, because that promise of infinite growth hadn't been burst yet. And so like money doesn't matter when you think that it's going to be infinite growth, but when that finally becomes a falsity, then all of a sudden now we have to cut Double Fine. Like I don't want to make like a political analogy, but this is like when Republicans give $1 trillion tax break to the rich, and then they're like, well, now we have to cut PBS in order to balance it out. And I'm sorry, Elmo, like Tim Schafer is the Elmo of fucking video game development, and it's like, sorry, Elmo, you gotta go get a job somewhere else. And like, we didn't completely balance it, but like we got pretty close. It's all bullshit. Like the money doesn't matter when you think it's doing the thing that you want it to, and then as soon as it doesn't, that becomes your cover for doing the shittiest, greediest things that a corporation can do.
And it is, I mean, it is very much like that, Jeff, because it's like Microsoft is an enormous investor in AI, as we gestured to at the beginning, because they're trying to make everyone use Copilot, which people are not using. But it's like they are the reason that their consoles cost so fucking much to produce and sell. Like it's just them.
And now they're looking at all the video game division and saying like, we could use this to make more money selling AI or Azure or whatever else. Like, why are we putting it into kids' toys that don't pay us enough, as much as we could be making somewhere else? The profit margins aren't as good as they would be somewhere else, and that just is bullshit. We shouldn't buy that. We shouldn't buy their framing of it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very tired of the framing as well. I'm completely on that side of like, let's try to think about why this could be, instead of just like, you guys just want more money. Just say it. Stop trying to say this is going to do XYZ and it'll make it better for you and whatever. It's like, you just want more money in this fiscal quarter. That's all they want. Yeah. Because I feel like I've explained this like 10 times, but the ultimate thing of this, if we were to take 10 steps back, is that shareholders appoint directors. And if the shareholders aren't happy, the directors lose their jobs. The directors make all the big decisions. They need the shareholders happy every quarter, and especially once a year when their appointment comes up. So if there's not improvement in short spans of time, they panic and they do stuff so the shareholders don't appoint somebody else as a director and they lose their job. Yeah. And then that just happens over and over again. And then that's why they say no more physical media with Sony. That's a direct thing for that. Look how much money we'll make for 2028. We'll make so much money. What about 2029? I don't care. At least I'll have my job for 2028. That's like literally how it works.
Yeah, you know how much I'm going to make during that year personally? So
right,
that's all that matters. And I'll have a golden parachute once they fire me.
Yeah, and it kills me. I mean, with 3,200 people losing their jobs, like how many people who are responsible for the state Xbox is in right now are going to be losing their jobs versus the developers working their asses off to make this happen? It's like none. Technically Sarah Bond was politely ushered out the door and people said, great job, Phil Spencer, get out of here and retire, buddy. Like that's like as bad as it gets. But it's like, I want those people to lose their jobs. Call me a radical.
It is that frustrating tax break thing again of like, Double Fine is not your problem. Compulsion is not your problem. When you talk about lean, mean development, like those were the guys you just cut. They were very small studios. They had already figured out and specialize in making quality games with a very small team. Obsidian more than any other developer, and like that doesn't matter. They cut those guys. They want to keep the COD, cash cow, or that they think it is. Mm-hmm. And so like, you'll just cut all the little ones and then say, well, we got pretty close. That'll keep the investors off my back for a quarter. I can say, look how many people I cut. Like we're making good moves, guys. We're getting there. Mm-hmm. And it's just bullshit. We
didn't even mention the fact that Arcane Leon is also, they're trying to spin that off and find a buyer for Arcane Leon as well, which is, if you're really looking forward to, from the creators of Dishonored, their take on Blade, it's like, we'll see. We'll see if that game will ever see the light of day at this point. And it's all thanks to, or because of French labor laws that they're like, we can't sell this immediately. It needs to be a more complicated government thing because of laws in France. And so Arcane is just in this weird limbo where it seems like at least we know that Xbox was not all gung ho on the Blade game being awesome. It'll be coming anytime soon. It's just lost now.
They're asking ChatGPT right now, how do we fire these guys without getting sued by the French government? Like,
yeah, no, I think you're right. And like,
they should call up Crafton.
That's a pretty good idea.
Tips.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I was thinking about this, and it's like, why? Obviously, this hurts. This hits, and it's weird too. I don't know if this is a brag or what, so forgive me for this. But I was thinking, like, it's just weird that, like, I've been to so many of these studios. It's like, I feel like I spent 2 days in all these studios and just, like, puts a little bit of your heart in that studio no matter what. And now just to see them all get dicked around so much. It's that basic idea.
They're taking humans away. It just is sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many of those jobs they cut are gonna, like, you think lean and mean, probably Microsoft thinks the leanest and meanest, Gen AI. Let's just replace half these jobs with Gen AI. If Unreal 6 is gonna just be Gen AI all over the place, we might as well make our internal stuff Gen AI. And then I think they said in the message out to all the employees that were fired of like, your jobs won't be replaced with Gen AI. I'm like, sure they're not. There's probably so many of them will just be entirely replaced by that. And it's because they view games not as art. They view them as products. And that's the end of the day, the final stamp that they're telling us with these choices. It's so annoying.
Yeah. But maybe COD will sell so well that it'll be like, hey, Xbox, look at you. Modern Warfare 4 was the secret answer.
I'll say on the record, even COD can be art, but you got to give it a chance and let a human make it. Please. Like, at least. Don't let the machines make our war games.
Eyes right now.
Yeah. I agree. I was just thinking of all those. Remember the little like emblems that you could earn in the COD last year that were all the fucking like Studio Ghibli character smoking weed level art that they put on them.
I've seen my poster behind me. Yeah.
I think this is obviously just like kind of a catastrophic week or 2 weeks for the game industry that we aren't going to see all the effects of immediately. But like, it's so depressing that I am trying to tell myself that there has to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes moment here, because we're really in the middle of the like burning it all down for phase right now. And it's really, really bad. Like, however bad you think it is right now, it is very bad. There've been layoffs, there've been like, but this is just a coalescence of all of the biggest companies doing all the bad things kind of all at once. And it's not sustainable. Like, it doesn't create, we've talked about this now with like both Sony and Microsoft. It's just like neither of these things do anything to grow the audience, and they only like seek to kind of turn people away from being part of this. And there must be like a great reset at some point, because this is not a sustainable version of this industry.
Yeah. The Phoenix Rising, Kelsey, is every time I get mad at this, I go turn on my Steam Deck and I play a $5 indie game and I have a big smile on my face the entire time I play it. And I feel good that I supported a 1 or 2 person team or whatever it is that made a friend slop game that was really fun, and I know that they're millionaires now because their game went viral, and like it's just good feelings all around. And I still feel like all these corporate maneuvers, like at no point does anyone on any team say, hey, how does it feel to be one of our consumers right now? Like, forget about the teams that we're destroying or whatever. How does it feel to buy an Xbox game right now? Do you feel like a piece of shit if you do it? And like the answer is just increasingly yes for all of them. And that sucks.
Yep.
I have a silver lining. Lining. I've had so many specifically Xbox people become my client, and they're making their own games and they're super excited and they sound really cool and they have a nest egg because they know working for Microsoft is risky. And so they have the money to do it. And also those people tend to get the easiest time with mid-range publishers because they're like, I'm blank. I worked on blank, blank, and blank. And they go, wow, okay, here's your money. So like, I think in 4 or 5 years, there'll be so many cool indie things. But they just need to like incubate after getting laid off, sadly. Kind of like MinnMax after all the GameStop layoffs. Hey,
look
just
at that.
Like that.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're sustainable right now. Yeah, we're doing all right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to Patreon.
But we also want infinite growth. So
we need
it, guys.
We need it. We're only getting 63 cents back for every dollar we spend.
A billion viewers on patreon.com/MinnMax every day.
And look, if we say that enough, it'll mean something. So yeah, billion views a day. Come on, everybody. We're announcing it right here, right now.
But I mean, on a serious note, I mean, because all of this is so just the structure of how publicly traded companies work, like, I think this obviously isn't working. People are sick of it. People are getting turned away. Like, the future kind of might be in a bunch of smaller privately held companies for video games. Like, that's where the healthy stuff is happening, at the places, whether it's a lovely independent media outlet like ours or an independent game studio. You know, those are the places that are like, we need enough money to continue to be able to keep doing this, but we have no additional motivation for number go up forever. We just need to continue to be sustainable. And so, like, that is the better form of economy. It's just like people trying to make sustainable things. Yeah. And maybe that's just where the entire industry goes eventually.
But even that's impossible then with how many games are released and the competition out there. I saw some post or somebody somewhere say that GTA 6 feels like the series finale to like the game industry we've known.
The game industry.
I think there's something to it. I'm just like, it's going all digital and it's kind of, it was all leading to this, and then after GTA 6, it's going to be just Wild West fractured implosion town USA.
It tracks with the director thing of short-term growth is the best thing ever, because they're emboldened by the future prospects of the profit of GTA. So this is like such a good time for this. We're going to get so much profit soon. Let's do all the shitty stuff right before that happens, and then we'll be in the gold for that next quarter, and I'll have my job for one more year.
Yeah. And this is where the game industry remains fascinating, is then you look over and you see, well, what is working? Who's doing it right? What's the answer? And the answer is hide and go seek on Steam.
And it's buggy as hell.
And it barely functions
as a game. It's the most confusing UI I've ever seen.
Meccha Chameleon is a game. 15 million copies sold.
Amazing.
Kind of a prop hunt style thing. It's basically...
What's their studio?
The studio is just... This is my favorite thing. It feels like a name that should not be on Steam. It's Lemorian_1224. It feels
They're not a corporation?
It feels like an unremarkable NPC that you're going up against in Call of Duty. It's just like a
That's
zero
just
name.
Roblox.
Right.
This is just Roblox that's spilled over onto Steam.
Oh my god, there's two of them.
We're getting Robloxed.
Yes,
they lawyered the hell up, and they're talking in rooms now about how that money gets split up. They definitely didn't sign anything, and they made this, and now they're like, whoops.
But it's so fascinating to look at like their history. It's just releasing a bunch of games, typically involving penguins, like the Hotel Penguin map in this game is an homage to their previous game that has like 50 reviews on Steam and stuff.
They have a game called Pexit 8, which is just the Exit 8, but with penguins.
Of course, yeah, that's their style. And so the idea with this game is it is hide and go seek where you can paint yourself. You can put yourself in a pose and paint yourself with a paintbrush, and you have however much time you want to set to try and blend in to your environment. It was kind of New Show Plus. It wasn't kinda. It was New Show Plus this week. If you want to see, actually, all of us, like all 9 of us at MinnMax, jumped in and played it together. I think it's the first time that's ever happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you want to see,
and how much fun did we have?
I thought it was really fun.
Did we all have?
It was so
Did we all
fun.
have $6 worth of fun out of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like, in terms of like, video game industry existing based on what can we recommend, you think of like, hey, you know what? Spider-Man 2 is really cool. You should buy a PS5 and buy it. It's like, that is such a big recommendation where it's like, I play this for a couple hours and I'm like, yeah, I'd recommend my friends jump in at $6 and we could play some hide and go seek together. That's like the easiest slam dunk in the world.
I do wish it had some polish though. Like, it's such a fun concept with like none of the polish.
They have $75 million now. They can.
Yeah.
Do you think they actually will though, or will they just keep the money and leave it?
Honestly, I'd retire. I'd just be like, cool.
I'd just be like, thanks for enjoying my game. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind like some jank and some bugs, but when it was like kicking people out,
booting us every map.
It was a little bit rough. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, like every giant multiplayer game that costs $100 million has a shitty launch when they do it. So like two guys.
More complicated than this, joining a match in Monster Hunter Wilds. It was 100 times harder than playing Meccha Chameleon.
Yeah, I do think that's true.
We played it on New Show Plus. We ended the episode. Half of us continued playing because we had more time. And as soon as we finally had to stop, like, I went right to the kitchen and told my wife, like, how fun it was and the premise of the game and how crazy it was, and Leo hiding on that cupcake, and
that's so good.
It's just so it's hard for me not to feel like, well, this is the future of games. Obviously, like when everything else crashes, I know this is a weird, instance of like of
Jeff, you're on a shit timeout, buddy, because I've been writing these time codes down.
I know. I always look at Ben and watch him take the time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, but yeah, like. Every game doesn't have to be GTA 6 in order for it to also be a giant hit. And like the sad part is that like Microsoft would probably look at this and be like, $75 million, what's that going to do for us? Like that is the current state of the problem of video games, is how much of a profit is enough for the team that you have. And when two people can make a game like this and have it do this kind of ridiculous sales number, that shows that there's more options than just an $80 game is what we have to charge for this to actually work and make sense as a business.
Yep.
Yeah, although I do think that it's like it's notable, and not to the game's detriment, but in terms of how broadly applicable this is, that it's like it is the perfect streaming game. It is a game that I won't say it's designed for streaming, but like it streams incredibly well, because streaming it is very similar. Like watching a stream of it is very similar to playing it, because you hide and then you just watch players walk around. And so like this game's virality is, I think, due to how funny it is to watch, which is not necessarily a thing that I want all games to have to shoot for either. It's not. You can't make Perfect Hide station to station into something like this. But it is like, I just like. I watched the whole. I kept showing Annie clips from our New Show Plus yesterday of you have to see where Leo hid. You have to do this, because it does just. It creates stories in that way that Leo always loves when games do, and even though it is so complicated to kind of understand the mechanics of like what you're doing initially, it's so easy to understand what the pitch of the game is, and just immediately understand this player is doing it well because they decorated themselves to look like a stop sign.
Yeah. Did you like that part in Hunger Games when PETA painted himself to look like a log or whatever? You get to be PETA. It's every man's dream.
Every man's dream.
I definitely don't want every game in the future to be a friend slop game. But like, then you have like the Balatros and stuff. I also don't want to make it seem like, oh, well, indie gaming, it's so easy to make a hit when it's like these companies are winning the lottery in terms of what goes viral and what's very profitable. But like from a gamer's perspective, like it's nice having a ton of games out there that are doing creative new things, and that each one costs like $5 or $10. Like that is. It
also feels good on my soul.
That is a healthy alternative. Yes.
To play them. Like genuinely, I feel less like dread in my head as I play them.
Now there is, of course, the wrinkle here of like, you say this is what we want. Yet, did you see the tweets from the Meccha Chameleon developers?
No, we'll take that.
No, they do have like, Sony tried funding their version of like a friend slop game with Midnight Murder Party, made by VLAN Studios, and nobody cared.
You keep saying that title. We all know it wasn't a real game.
It existed. Can't keep
insisting on that.
That was a dream you had.
That was them trying, and nobody cared, and it bombed, and I'm sure their takeaway was like, all right, I guess we'll leave that for the Steam
weirdos. Well, did Northern Lion like it?
I guess, if North Carolina was into it.
I mean, the fun per second, and I played both games. This game's fun.
I'm not saying it's not a better game. It's obviously a better game, but like that's a big corporation trying. And this is me saying that was a game made by Velan Studios, who then went on to release their next game, Star Fox, ladies and gentlemen, the big remake, which Jacob Keller has dove into. Now he's a master of. I mean, what percentage of the Ace Combat series have you played at this point, Jacob?
Well, there are a lot of games.
Yeah,
I've played 4 Ace Combat games.
That's so awesome.
Which technically there are 7 mainline series, but then there are the mobile games and all that. But I had look, I believe that I said the other week that Ace Combat was like riding a bike, and Star Fox is like riding a tricycle while being pulled on a rope behind someone else's bike.
That's right.
Great analogy.
But the situation that I found myself in was like I went to the beach this weekend with Annie and her family, and I brought my Switch mostly because I wanted to play Rhythm Heaven. But then I was like, oh, you can't play Rhythm Heaven when just like 9 people in a house are kind of shouting at each other.
You'll be locked up.
And so I was like, oh, Star Fox is the thing. And what I didn't really clock is how interesting the structure is, in that it basically feels like Nintendo made a roguelike, 30 years ago or whatever, that it is designed for, not a roguelike, but like the way that the level-based structure and how short it is and how many different things you are able to do in those short levels really is like, we want you to be playing this over and over and memorizing the enemy layouts and getting better at things and whatever, in a way that, it does not feel anything like playing a, Ace Combat kind of fighting game.
Right.
But I do like that it is this kind of like a game that rewards level knowledge in such an interesting way and gives you like, there are a lot of levels in this game, and you really see less than half of them on one playthrough, which is a cool thing.
Yeah, and you got your all-terrain mode. You got the whole, you're not being led on a horse at that point. You get a little bit of freedom to explore a little bit, but
those are the worst sections by far. the all-terrain and the Landmaster and that one level in the submarine. Oh my God, it's like if I could skip that.
Yeah. So it's funny. So like appreciating it not as a plain game, but like, oh, just a cool piece of design here. Yeah.
Yes, and distinctly kind of an today Nintendo kind of design, where like I was playing kind of the harder route, where at the end you get to Venom 2 and you have to fight Starwolf and his whole team, and all of my Fox and Slippy and Peppy, or Falco and Slippy and Peppy, had all died on the previous level, which meant that they were not in that level, and I just couldn't beat it, and it's not, it's like, you have a bunch of continues, you've got a bunch of lives, whatever. It was like, I literally just don't have the tools. And so I had to like start the whole run over, which I cannot imagine Nintendo making a game where you just kind of get like difficulty locked at the end of a run today. And it was frustrating in the moment, but it was kind of a cool feeling to have to be like, this is the consequence of me playing the previous level poorly. I don't have the, teammates that I need to beat this level.
Oh yeah.
The branching paths thing is super cool. And it's super cool that a lot of those branching paths come from an actual mission objective that like normally you just fail. Like you didn't do the thing that you were supposed to do. You didn't protect Falco in this one, so he didn't show you an alternate route in order to take this character, and that leads you to another thing. And yeah, like how many games have missions that you can fail and the story moves on and you go to a different location because of that? That is something that I have wanted to see from so many games, and it's cool. Like the first time I played through it, it was like you're beating a campaign in an hour. Like that sounds like such a crappy thing, not an SH word thing, but
I'll still
but like
it. Yeah.
But actually having the motivation to then play through it multiple times and figure out all these little minutia and like the nuances of the different ways through it was super cool and super fun. And he was into it too. And I thought like, wow, like my 5-year-old is seeing a thing that you don't normally get to see, like that, you guys probably saw when you were 5. I was a little older when Star Fox 64 came out.
No
but
one's
like
judging.
that is a cool experience for him to have at this age. and he would keep coming to me and be like, how do I get to this planet? And it's like, well, you got to get 100 hits in the previous mission. Like, try that mission again. And him like striving to do that is a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, mission accomplished, Velan. Jeff, and you also want to talk about Lego Voyagers?
Oh my God! On the other, and I'm sorry, it's another kid's story, but like. We had played through it. I think we all played some of Lego Voyagers.
We talked about it last year on the podcast, yeah.
Yeah, last year, and we were all like, it's kind of interesting. The puzzles aren't that interesting, that kind of thing. Did you finish that game?
No.
Hanson?
Does it get really good?
No, I don't think anybody finished it. Like, my son and I, we had played through about like probably 3/4 of it, but there's one level where you control a boat, and you both maneuver it. One person steers, the other is basically doing the acceleration. And he was so into that section that he kept wanting to go back to that. And that's what killed us, because I didn't want to play in that stupid boat anymore. So I got him to play other games. But we were, playing games the other day, and he was like, hey, he booted that one up and was like, will you play with me? And I was like, yeah, okay. He started with the boat stuff, and I was like, no, let's just keep going and finish it. Basically, the entire time you're building up this rocket, you're putting pieces on this rocket as you're building it. Yeah, like very fun stuff. You the next room, you kind of see the rocket being built, and then you go to this big room where and I'm sorry, this is going to be spoilers, but nobody else beat this game, so they don't care. And I know that you don't care if you're watching this, so just listen to the rest of the story.
Not the look right in the camera.
You get to this like giant training room, and there are all these little cute like astronaut type things that you do. And one of the coolest things that the game did is like halfway through, one of you grows up and becomes a double tall, little single piece, sure. Right? Because you're little single Lego pieces. One of you grows up, and for my 5-year-old, he was the one that grew up, and that's a cool thing for like a kid to be like, oh, I'm the big one now. There are certain things that only the big one can do as you're playing it. And so he was the one who would do all these, little training missions. He'd sit in the seat and it would spin the 3 different ways and whatnot. And then in the next room, he put on a suit, and he went underwater, and you're doing, again, little puzzles that you're doing underwater things.
Sure.
And then you leave the factory, and you start walking down this ramp to the rocket. And by this point, I'm starting to realize what is happening, but you get on the elevator and you start going up the elevator. And he looked at me and he said, Daddy, are we getting on the rocket? And I was like, yeah, it looks like it. And he said, but Daddy, you're not wearing a suit.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not. And by this point, there's super somber like piano music playing that it, like kind of Minecraft-esque, like this is a super sad moment for some reason. And I loaded him on to the rocket. He was like, but Daddy, I don't want to go to space without you. And I was like, oh, well, there's only one
Toy Story
space
5?
on the ship.
It's the saddest thing ever.
Top of the rocket closes.
No.
I then have to take the elevator all the way back down while the music is playing. And I have to go to the mission control and press all the frickin' buttons. And he's like, yeah, but Daddy, I don't want to go to space with you. I'll miss you in space if you're not there. And I was like, well, yeah, it's a game. Don't worry about it. And then he looks at me in the eyes as the countdown's going and the engine is starting to go. He looks at me in the eyes and he says, bye-bye, Daddy.
No!
And he's on the verge of tears, and fucking tears started squirting out of my eyes so bad. Like I took a Kleenex because he was still, mostly watching the rocket go up. I'm like trying to surreptitiously dab my eyes. My wife is on the couch. She looks over at both of us. He's on the verge of crying. He's got his, sad 5-year-old face. I'm obviously weeping, and she had her headphones on, so she didn't hear any of this. She took it off. She said, what is going on? She immediately starts crying because that's, she cries at everything. All 3 of us are crying as this rocket shoots into space, and the entire thing was a metaphor for preparing your kid to grow up and leave your house and become an adult. And I didn't know any of it. And it was such an emotional gut punch. Like, you have to put a warning on the box if you make that kind of game. This game needed a trigger warning for parents. Hey, maybe don't play this game if you're not ready to think about when your kid grows up and leaves you.
Wow.
Oh my God. So it turns out it was actually a pretty good game. Anybody who played it to the end of that may have gotten more meaning out of it than we did.
I look forward to Jacob fighting for Rhythm Doctor
was an incredible
for Game of the Year, and then you fighting for Lego Voyagers.
Brutal.
That's best moment of the year.
From last year.
Yeah.
From last year, but we'll allow it.
We'll allow it, obviously. Yeah. I don't know if I would have that same impact from like drinking beers and eating popcorn with Ben Reeves and playing it. I don't think it would have hit us the same way.
Yeah. What if Ben looked at you and went, "Bye, Daddy"?
Maybe it would have got me.
Yeah.
God, I had a parenting gut punch this weekend too. Sorry. Parenting Corner, everybody. Parenting Corner, gather around. Bring your kids, bring your folks. Where I was doing a Spider-Man puzzle on my living room floor with my kiddo. And he's like, I want to listen to Spider-Man music. And I was like, cool, yeah.
Nice.
And so it was just blasting the soundtrack to Spider-Man 2 on PS5. And I was like talking about Spider-Man as I was doing it. We were doing the puzzle. And he's always asking questions about like, why does Spider-Man do this? Why is he helping people? And listening to that main theme from that PS5 game, like tears coming out of my eyes. Like it really made me rethink. I'm like, I think
Wait, what was sad about this?
Just the emotion of Spider-Man. And
it's like your life has a soundtrack in this moment.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
You try listening to that main theme blasting on speakers as you're doing a puzzle with a 3-year-old and explaining why Spider-Man helps people. Like, it just got me.
Don't play Lego Voyagers.
I'm not. No, I'm going to delete it from my hard drive.
Oh, my God.
Hey.
And that's why you need it. You need the game on a disc so that you can go back and listen to it and play it whenever you want.
That's right.
Exactly correct.
And who needs a disc when you have cartridges? Kind of like legacy cartridges. That's right, everybody. I Am 8-Bit is a proud supporter of this here episode, and they want everybody to know about the Sonic the Hedgehog 35th anniversary promotion that they have happening in their store right now. You can pre-order this right now. It is so cool. 35th anniversary legacy cartridge collection for Sonic 1 and 2. They say happy birthday. I Am 8-Bit partnered with Sega to release Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 for Sega Genesis as part of our legacy cartridge collection. 1 and 8 cartridges light up with Chaos Emerald energy is how they put it. But just sweet new physical versions of these games that still work on the Sega Genesis. It is quite sweet because I Am 8-Bit knows how to partner with good people to create cool physical versions of games. And they had a nice post as well after Sony's news where they're like, we believe in physical media, and go to their site, you'll see why. So check out I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store. You can use the promo code SUMMERDAYS for 10% off of everything under $100. Jump on in. Pre-orders don't count, and Atlas stuff doesn't count. Otherwise, if it's under $100, use that promo code SUMMERDAYS for the month of July for 10% off. Of course, huge thank you to I Am 8-Bit. Go support them because they support the MinnMax community in a huge way by shipping out a prize each and every week to whoever in the community has the best questions submitted over there on Patreon. It supports at any tier. You can submit a question. We choose our favorite. This week, it's a biggie because they win the Persona 5 Royal Vinyl soundtrack.
I have that. Do you want me to hold it up?
It'd be nice, yeah. Speaking of holding up, we are a little bit held up because Jacob Geller lost all power, apparently. But Jacob, yeah, totally. Jump in with your AirPods. Hey, we'll take sloppy Jacob over no Jacob. Hell yeah, man. Because these questions are so good, we need you to help it with it overall. Look at that beautiful thing thanks to I Am 8-Bit.
I listen to this all the time.
And can you imagine if I Am 8-Bit was a bad corporation and they went in and just plucked that out of her hands, which is what so many of these digital people want from our future?
Jacob's back!
Jacob's back! The Juan
For audio listeners who didn't realize Jacob was gone that whole time.
Yeah, he wasn't just angry at the concept of Lego Voyagers. Welcome, Jacob.
Hello. I don't know how good my service will be if I have the video on, so it might be better.
You're looking good. You're sounding great.
I mean, this seems to be working for now. All right.
I'd go horizontal if you could. The Juan One says, hey, MinnMax, do we only like games and game genres if we're good at them? I think your phone is locked, Jacob. Janet brings us up a lot, where she enjoys the game more if she's good at them. That's true. This might not be a wrong assessment because I don't like Souls games, puzzle games, or survival games. One of the common thread, though, I'm not good at these genres. I don't like the fact that Janet is showing a mirror to my face. That's why Janet's here. She's the mirror cohort. There's something to this.
Element.
Absolutely.
No, I think totally true. Like, I'm bad at Souls games. I can appreciate they're fantastic games, and I think I would love them if I was better at them. But I just am bad at them. So then I go, ugh, never mind, and I don't play them.
Have you tried streaming them, Haley? Because I really think streaming Elden Ring was like the secret sauce for getting me into it.
I did try streaming Elden Ring, but on
stress me out.
My stinky little original Twitch account before MinnMax where I got one viewer.
Oh, okay.
You guys really lifted me up and empowered me here.
I would watch you. I didn't know about you.
Yeah.
No one did. That was the thing, Kelsey.
I was that one viewer, and I was like,
I don't think she was trying to make us feel bad, Kelsey.
If you told me who you were, if you were like,
if I DM'd you, I'm like, hi, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been following you for years. This is parasocial, but it'll be fine because in the future we'll be friends and we'll hug.
Yeah.
You would have said, okay.
You're going to love hugging me in the future. It would be a really weird message to send.
That would work only with me, with all of you.
Am I like really cool and hip by being like, I don't think this is having that big of an impact on me overall for like, I think I'm bad at most genres and I still like a lot. Like Puzzle Fighter is one of my favorite games of all time and I lose 98% of the time,
That's true.
I do think that makes you enlightened.
That was an attack, Haley. I didn't invite you on to be a dick.
So are we.
You're a better person than you are a gamer. I think.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. Where are you all?
Well, he says that. That's the most backhanded negging comment I've ever heard. And you go, thank you.
Jeff, you're right. God, you are.
I would rather be a better
priorities,
person
man. I would rather be a better person too. Yes, exactly.
I would rather be a better gamer. Screw it.
Woo! Achievement scores!
Every game. I want to be like those people who do when they click things to prove they're really good at multiplayer shooters and they're like little like rhythm games almost on Steam and they're clicking like crazy. I want to be like them.
Rhythm Doctor?
No, not Rhythm Doctor. Not Rhythm Doctor.
I don't like RTS games and I don't like tower defense games and therefore I don't play them. And that is probably because I'm not very good at them. So checks out for me, I guess.
It's like circular too. Like you don't seek out playing games that you know you're going to be bad at, so then you don't spend a lot of time getting better at them, so then you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of I think there's something to it, but I also think you could potentially brute force your way into being good at a genre and then maybe you would like it.
Yeah.
I think about like Leo with immersive sims where it's like, look, I can finish Hitman and James Bond and, Prey and stuff. But like, I feel not good at those games because when I look at someone like Leo solving them with 10 times the creativity that I solved them, I'm like, oh, I'm not like getting nearly as much as I could out of this. And it doesn't make me not like the games, but it's like, I'm enjoying this at a 7, and I could be enjoying it at a 10 if I was better at, being creative while playing these.
Yeah. Gio Bonoji writes in, and they say, congratulations to Kelsey Lewin on that sniper shot and getting the new Fire Emblem game on last week's episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I actually have really good aim and I'm super good at first-person shooters, and that's how I got that.
I think you're right. They say, not only is she a lady of impeccable taste, but a lady of impeccable aim as well. Thanks, as always, for the spicy 6-shooter duel episodes. I do think a lot of feedback, a lot of suggestions on that format. I think
Justice for Haley.
Yeah. Well, I don't agree with that part. I don't believe in justice.
For Haley was trending. Thank you, team. Thank you, Haley Squad.
In your living room. But I do like the idea of like if we let everybody who's not on the episode have a sniper shot. Like give a list of the games that they would get if no one else claims them. I think that is kind of fun.
But then they can't passion in the moment.
Well, yeah, it's better if they're there. But for people that aren't there, I think that is fun. Just to have
that's fair.
Someone be like, I actually want Fire Emblem, please. Chandler writes in and has other suggestions saying, after the tri-wielding controversy last week's episode, what do you think about moving to a true bidding system? Every person gets like $100 to bid on the games.
That's interesting.
Here's the conundrum. I've been doing this for a very long time. We did that. I was trying to find the first year we did this back at Game Informer, but that was the original idea, is we all had money and we would bid on the games. And I like it. It just got a little too messy for explaining it, for like explaining to audio listeners and stuff. Like, okay, so technically Haley has $43 left. Jeffem has 17. It was just like too.
Oh, you have to have a really small number. It has to be like $10.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, then why not
bullets?
6?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the same idea then, right?
Yeah.
But if there's tri-wielding.
You would need like on-screen graphics in order to track how much.
Yeah.
I like that, but it feels like more like a visual New Show Plus or something, But
and then we're not shooting each other.
Yeah, you kind of. It was eventually boiled down to just the 6-shooter duel. It was kind of where we got to, and even that,
it's clean.
There's room to improve. Yeah. Aging Poorly writes in, and they say, "Hey everybody, do you miss the 6-shooter duel already from last week?" Yeah, we do. Well, get ready for MinnMax's newest game. Say it with me, everybody. One more bullet. 8 more games are coming that you have the opportunity to use your bonus bullet on. These are all hypothetical, unannounced games. If you shoot it, you get to play it, and you don't get to play any of the other games. But hint, all 8 are going to be certified bangers. No tricks here. So if you get to the end of the list and you haven't used your bullet, you get to play none of them. You ready? Oh. Mm-hmm. So you bang your one bullet when ready. The third and final game in the Breath of the Wild trilogy. Bang! I'll take that.
That's crazy.
I almost said it, but I'll give it to you.
I'll take it. Start.
I don't think they ever said it's a trilogy, but I do like this idea. Hypothetically, right? If these games were announced.
Yeah. It feels like it's going to be.
The next Yakuza game. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza 9.
Oh. Bang.
Okay, Haley Tanks.
I really want to play it. I really miss Ichiban. I think I literally think about him once a week. I really miss him.
Weird.
That felt like bait for Haley. I'm expecting at least 3 more of these are going to be killers for her.
Fallout.
Yeah, I just feel like you can't. The beginning is a scary time to do it.
It is a scary time, but I want that.
Yep. Fallout 5. So in theory, this would be Bethesda's next Fallout. Bang! Oh, Todd Howard, welcome to the MinnMax show. Bang! I'm Todd.
It was a good impression.
How's the weather there?
Oh, Haley.
Wow, Haley.
Whoa.
I'm joking.
I won't say who it is, but somebody at Game Informer would always make me laugh by their impersonation of Todd Howard was just him going to sleep in a matchbox going, me.
I really like that.
I don't know whose sense of humor that is,
but I won't now.
It could be anybody. Okay, the next Super Smash Brothers game.
Bang.
Thank you, Jacob. If no one banged that one, I was going to regret Zelda with my dying breath. Let's say the third and final game in the Last of Us trilogy. Okay, Max Payne.
How many games are left after
we
that?
got 3 left. So Kelsey and Jeff, I'm
just banking on there being another JRPG. I really want
let's see.
I took the other one.
Kelsey, this might be your best bet. Max Payne 4.
No!
Sorry, Jacob. You're stuck with your stupid Smash Brothers.
My bullet back from Super Smash Brothers.
And the worst part is Max Payne won't even be in Smash Brothers. Doesn't that just sting?
No.
Stupid.
He might be in this one.
That would be such a weird addition. It's just Sam Lake in Smash Brothers.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. Number 7, the next game in the Claire Obscure series.
Bang.
Okay.
I'll take it.
All right. And Jeffem, of course, gets Garfield Escape from Monday 2. No, it's Elden Ring 2, Jeffem. Bottoms up.
Hey, it was worth waiting.
Okay, hey.
I'm glad I banged when I did, actually.
We all
I maybe
are.
would have wanted Max Payne.
It's perfect. Sam Kennedy writes in, they say, hey, MinnMax, how the heck can Double Fine afford to stay in San Francisco? Why don't they move to St. Paul, Minnesota? Sam, I couldn't agree with you more.
I fully agree with this as well.
Yeah, get them over here. I mean, they should learn from Eric Wolpaw, who co-wrote Psychonauts, when he was on this podcast screaming about how Valve needs to move to Duluth. Double Fine should move to Duluth. They could live like kings and queens. Just think of it. If you're listening to this, Double Fine, come on over. The water's fine. And it's the biggest freshwater lake in the world. What else do you need? So, yes, I do think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't know anything. I'm trying to learn
Are
things.
states on fire less?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. But I do. I could see it. I could see Double Fine being like,
"I'm to Canada,
maybe,
Double Fine."
Okay, yeah, that's an option.
Well, that sounds complicated.
Yeah, if you're gonna play the Canada card, then every company.
Didn't you say your houses like quintupled in price in the last 6 days or something? Like
our houses, I don't have one.
Okay, well,
other people's houses.
Okay, exactly my point. Plus, do they even have double?
Not Weirder brings up a really good point, which is that they should move to Pocahontas County, Iowa.
Oh, I bet those quirky MFers love kaleidoscopes over there.
Can you imagine the next game is about kaleidoscopes? That feels like it fits.
Yeah,
that's a good game name, Kaleidoscope.
I think it's already. I think this is already happening. I think they're already making a game about kaleidoscopes,
and it's crushing Meccha Chameleon on Steam. My God, Blobars Martin writes in. They say, Jacob, I assume you're in the same camp where when you read this question, it took your breath away.
This is the reason why I'm AirPods in game.
All right.
Because I would not let myself not be present for this question.
Okay. They say, if you could add a 0 to any number in your life, what would you pick? Such a good question. What does that mean to everybody? All right. So obviously, if you're a big old simpleton, you're like, paycheck, right? I mean, that would be the go-to answer is you put a 0 at the end of your paycheck. And then you.
Yeah, but it's like you do that, you're still not even the richest person you know.
And that's our goal.
True.
Yeah, it's like this is a Jeff. This is a Diceomancer situation, right? Where it's like, well, you can change the amount of damage you're doing, but what if you change? So here's I was really thinking about this because I was like, what if you do like healthy lifespan? Because you don't, if I'm going to live to 85, I don't want to live to 850 as essentially an 85-year-old because that would be bad. Right. But what if it's like I get to be 40 years old for 400 years? That sounds pretty good.
Can you do that?
But then I was like,
that's a little magical.
Well, this is strict rules.
This is magic, right?
To any number in your life. So
this is
magic.
But that's not
add a 0 to anything in your life. It said, right?
Add a 0, but you're adding a 0 to your lifespan, but then saying, actually, I'm healthy the whole time.
Well,
and
but
I don't
it's a statistical
healthy lifespan. Yeah, that's
healthy. Like you could look that up. That would be a thing. Now this is going to get much more contentious because I was like, but I wouldn't want to live that long because I don't want to like see everyone I love die. But then I was like, what if you add a 0 to the number of hours you have in a day?
Very good.
Ooh.
So it's like, I live the same time as everyone else, but I just have 10 times the number of hours so I could like do everything I could ever want while keeping a pace with like everyone else.
So, but you're saying
that actually is what Haley has and how
that's what I thought.
So many games.
Wait, so you're saying you have 240 hours before you have to sleep again? And like, wouldn't you miss the sunset?
I'm saying that for me, I don't know if I haven't worked out all the details.
With the Turner thing or
yeah, I don't know if it's like a time dilation thing because I'm imagining like my Monday is the same as your Monday, and when it's Tuesday for you, it's also Tuesday for me. But I've just had time to do 10 times the number of things.
Is it like you just have the dark hour from Persona 3 where like the whole world is asleep for 9/10 of?
I don't know because some of the stuff that I would want to do would be like, oh, I'm going to go see that movie. I'm going to go like hang out with my friends. And I wouldn't want to do that if everyone else was frozen. So it's a tenuous concept, but I liked the more hours in a day idea.
I think this would be a classic Blobars Martin Monkey's Paw situation where you'd wish for that, but then everyone else around you would be going in slow motion. So you'd be like, come on, let's hang out. This is a curse. There would be no way out forever. And it would happen. So everyone, I want you to be really careful with this. Anyone else got suggestions?
I would add a 0 to the number of years my dog is going to live.
See, the dog is a good angle because I had that same thought for like my parents.
Dog would outlive
but then
you.
I was like, yeah, I don't
by so much, Haley.
She's 4, but she'll live 40 years, and I'm 30, so I'll hit 70.
No, your dog. Haley, your dog's going to live till she's like 15 years old, hopefully. She's not going to live until she's 4.
Oh, I guess I was thinking of it as the number of years my dog
Is alive?
Counting now. Is alive currently now.
Yeah, how would you phrase that to Blobbars Martin? I don't know.
How do I monkey's paw my way?
The genie does not understand this one.
Does not compute.
The genie went, what? And I went,
yeah.
I guess then she would live 100 years.
I mean, you could pass her down to, like, you know, a kid or a family member or something. That'd be kind of sweet.
I can't die before her. She's my baby.
Yeah,
oh, no, I gotta think.
Well, then you can just kill her as you die.
Ah! Like an Egyptian?
Like some freaking Egyptian?
Not like the ancient Egyptians. They freak me out.
Podcast is everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase
Here's
it.
another monkey's paw one.
Yeah.
IQ.
Oh, no.
Ooh, I don't want to be that much smarter.
I don't want to
than
be
everyone else.
smarter.
That sounds like hell.
Trust me, guys,
What if
it's
you could
terrible.
like solve you could fix entropy. You could like do, everything by having 1,000 IQ.
No,
You'd
it's
have
not worth
no
it.
one to speak to that wouldn't infuriate you. Not a
What about
single
this?
human would come. Every
smart
human would be
people can
at
talk to other
maximum.
people.
No, not like
They're always the
throbbing
most
head.
depressed.
Yeah, no, it would be terrible.
Jimmy
Yeah, I mean,
Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron
Einstein,
levels
they're all
smart.
depressed.
Yeah, they all are effing
think
their cousins and sad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it would not be fun. I don't
Zero
think.
to caloric intake.
Oh, wait, you add a zero. So is the zero
But then
going...
you have to eat that much?
No, but if you eat that much, it's
Oh, you're like
you're
maintenance
eating
calories.
Yes, like
But you're not
maintenance
converting
calories.
numbers. But hang on, Haley. You could put the zero at the start of the calories. Is that how math works?
That's worse.
200?
No, like maintenance calories. Like I
Yeah.
get 10 times more maintenance calories than the average human. AKA my metabolism gets better.
Wait.
Wouldn't you then? You would die. You would starve.
No, I would
to death.
I would eat and eat
Your
and
body
eat.
would
Just
waste
eat
away.
a cheesecake every
But-
day.
No, but this is,
fine.
there's legitimately, I once read things about, I think it was like people who row crew in the Olympics or something. And they were like, it sounds obnoxious, but it's so boring how much we have to eat because they do have to eat like 16,000 calories a day. And they're like, it's all you do. You just work out and then you eat and that's it.
But I wouldn't have any of the workout stuff. I could just eat and then play games.
I'd have so much time to-
Do other stuff.
I could eat and play games at the same time.
Yeah.
I have a dumb one, but I
think it
don't think
works.
it actually comes with any downsides, unlike all of the rest of these, and it would just be
Okay.
like a neat party trick. Just how much I can lift.
Oh, lift is good.
Nice.
Can you imagine? Like I'm just
Lifting is
this
good.
little guy, and I can just lift a boulder over my head, and there's no downsides to this. It's just cool.
Except you're constantly like, hey, let's have the party at the boulder place again, at the boulder lawn. I don't know.
Or
what to call it.
you want to lift up like, your niece or nephew and throw them in the air, but instead you like catapult them into the sky.
That's
Orbit.
that's
Is that
dumb.
how strength works? You can't control
Yeah, you
it.
don't know how
It's-
strong you are.
It's terrible. Yeah, that's not bad for like vertical. My vertical leap, which what right now is like 2 inches maybe or something, But if
But
it's
then
like,
you wouldn't have the ankles to land properly. You'd shatter your ankles whenever you try to
Yeah,
jump.
you're
no, but
Ben, you're betraying your
I wouldn't get the
you're betraying yourself for
$100,000.
not having watched the Blight Club that I was on. Because like
Oh.
half of that was Jeff Grubb talking about if he had a 10-foot vertical and nothing else, could he be a star NBA player?
Oh, interesting. No, I don't think so. That's offensive to even ask, I think. Speaking of that site, so you did a Blight Club thanks to the charity stream where a generous donor wanted you to play terrible
Troy
games.
Ellison.
Troy Ellison, yeah. So over at Giant Bomb, you streamed through, played through Jumper, so you can check that out on Giant Bomb's YouTube channel. Super fun. I scrubbed through it a bit, Jacob, and I liked it. I had a good time scrubbing. Sandeezy writes in though, and they say, "Hey gang, quick
You
question."
hitting on Jacob?
Yeah,
What was that?
yeah. I'm hoping he can add to Griffin's story if you catch my drift. Jump. Anyways. So they say, hey gang, quick question for Ben, but all are free to weigh in. On the most recent voicemail dump truck episode over at Giant Bomb, Dan Reichert posited that Ben Hansen would be the type of person to order cereal at a restaurant. Ben, is that true? This is catching strays completely unprompted. On cereal at a restaurant, something I've never even considered. And
Can I have some corn pops, please? I'm Ben!
And I'm willing to pay whatever it costs.
You do give that vibe. I'm sorry.
You do.
What does
I
that mean?
figured.
I mean, I like cereal, but I'm not a lunatic.
If you have a really nice continental breakfast spread in front of you at the hotel, what are you grabbing?
Cereal? Why? To be fair,
saying, like you,
I do get a little excited
because for like some bacon, some eggs.
I don't regularly
eggs.
eat cereal, and so yeah, I'll get like some bacon, get some stuff, but I usually will get like 2 or 3 bowls of cereal because it's like a fun like
3.
Well, it's like a fun thing of like, oh, Apple Jacks, haven't had those in years. You know, it's like it's kind of fun. I got to work on my
volume.
Dan has never been more astute. That's disappointing.
But not at a restaurant. But here's my plea to Giant Bomb, and send this to them. Dan is laying out so many just completely misremembered things that I said in 2011 that he's just spun into like me being an absolute lunatic. And I feel like I once went, this is the most narcissistic thing possible. I'm like, Dan brings me up all the time on the Bombcast being like, Ben won't eat a steak unless it's burned to a crisp. Like, okay, great. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like things that are decades old and untrue to begin with. But I went through and like that site where you can search how many times you're mentioned on YouTube channels. I've been mentioned like over 250 times on Giant Bomb. And how many times?
Full name? Ben Hansen?
Yes. And how many times have I been invited to be on the Bombcast? That is my question. I feel like the ratio's a bit off. It's like one kind of live stream at Summer Game Fest, and that's it.
Dan threw out one of those during the Play Club as well, which was Ben Hansen says this is the most interesting character in video games.
Yes. Yes.
And do you know who he's talking about?
Agro the horse. And
that's right.
He's like, I swear to God, he argued he's the most compelling character ever written in video games. Like, does that sound like an argument a human being would make? Or in like frickin' 2010, I said that there was not a character I cared more about in games than Agro the horse. In terms of like when Agro gets hurt in Shadow of the Colossus, it's a gut punch. That was my argument. But now, over the course of time, it has turned into the best written character in games is the horse, says Ben. It's like, okay,
completely change something and then complain about how you're the crazy person.
Right. Like one time you threatened to drive him off the road. It's probably untrue.
Yeah, and I only half did that. He had it coming.
Yeah. Anyways, Giant Bomb, check them out. They're fun. Max
cyberbullied.
He does feel like that. But they've also said very nice things too, so I can't complain about MinnMax overall. Max Malavenda says, thank God Jacob's power didn't come back on, but he's able to jump back on this call because this is for him. I was listening to a recently released abstract hip hop album, and I was surprised out of nowhere to hear a sample of Jacob Geller's voice.
Yeah.
Jacob,
saying what?
You don't want to know. It's pretty messed up, actually. I'll jump right to it. Here we go.
Then the evening starts again.
So it's Teller Banks, and the song is called Claymore, and they sample you saying the evening starts again, and then it just plays this entire bit, right?
So, if you don't do anything at all, the loop of 12 minutes goes like this. You're a dude who comes home, greets your wife, starts a romantic dinner where she tells you she's pregnant.
They just play a part of your essay? How does this come to you, Jacob? Do they ask for permission?
No, as far as I mean, some people do. Like, I've received requests of like, hey, can I use a clip of you in a project I'm doing? And I always say yes. I don't remember this one happening. And yeah, the idea that it's just like, it's me describing the plot of 12 minutes is so
weird. All right,
how does this make you feel? Because you're smiling during Ben playing that, and I think I would be crawling into a hole hearing my own voice in a song.
I mean, it's my job is at this point listening to my own voice so much per week that I am more or less immune to the cringe of it. If they ask me to do a verse, then I would never be able to listen to it for sure. But it's like, I was happy with how that essay came out.
What rhymes with Geller?
Stellar.
Old Yeller.
Yeller. There's some verses.
It's like the most rhymable name, probably. Manta guy.
Hansen.
Dancing.
Oh, he be
Manson.
dancing?
Oh, Dancing
Like, just
Hansen.
kind of last names of other people.
Charles Manson. Yeah,
Charles Manson I get a lot. Yeah, Romanson.
Charles Manson.
Yeah.
A serial killer like Charles Manson, but cereal is
but you
the
eat
cereal.
it.
Only at hotels when it's free. Kind of. Manta Guy writes in, they say, hey, MinnMax, John from Good Vibes Gaming put out a 12-minute video earlier this week that explains the different Switch 2 cartridges and how they actually work. Since the video subject matter will probably come up in this week's episode, I greatly appreciate it if you shared it with the other cohorts. I'm shocked to see so many people, even established writers I trust and enjoy, mistake the stereotype of what game key cards are as representative of the entire Switch 2 physical scene over the past few weeks. I hear this Manta guy. God bless Good Vibes Gaming for focusing on this, because even as someone who, in theory, is paying close attention to this industry, I have just been confused about, like, some cartridges just have the codes in them, and so it's a very good breakdown of, like, okay, no, there's a 64 gig cartridges, which is primarily the first party Nintendo stuff. They're making smaller cartridges, so they're cheaper to produce for smaller games than that. But then also there are the game key cards that are not exactly a code in the box. It's just like a trigger to download, but you can share them. It's not tied to your account. But
now is the caveat.
Okay.
Right now it's not. Like, they can always change that in the future because now they have the control over them. Right. Is the thing that I would take issue with them with.
The real fear is just that eventually there's no way to download anymore because they don't keep services going, until the heat death of the universe.
But in theory, the way this video explained it, at least, is like, it's not tied to the store. It's technically the servers, which again, they could take down if they want to, but it's not a matter of, like, if it's delisted from the store, it should still be available to you. Jeff, you also were like, I don't understand how this works either. So did you watch that video?
No, but that was a great breakdown of how it works. And now I feel so much smarter. You
should check out that Good Vibes Gaming video, though, just because John's voice is so ridiculously good.
He's a great voice.
Although, have you ever heard him in real life? Freaking Todd Howard over here, the way this guy talks. Lucas S.
Todd Howard's catching strays all day.
Yeah, sorry. And we have not once ever, we've never invited him to this podcast either. And we never will, Todd. You're not my dad, Todd. Lucas S. writes in, they say, question about discs. Do they expire over time? I know they can be resurfaced, but I'd imagine that it can only happen so many times. Will video game discs become an endangered species in the future?
Yes.
Cool.
So there is, when you're manufacturing a disc, and I'm not a manufacturer, so I'm probably going to get some of the finer details wrong here, but you have, like, you depending on what type of disc, obviously we're doing mostly Blu-rays and stuff now, but for a while it was DVDs and stuff. You have multiple layers that are part of this manufacturing process, and those layers can delaminate and potentially rot over time. Most of these operations are pretty good, and we haven't seen a lot of disc rot. At least they've kind of, like, outperformed expectations of how long it will take for this stuff to rot. By the way, this is true of cartridges too. There is such thing as decay in like bit decay and stuff, and all of this as well. Like, physical media is not a, like, super, basically nothing is permanent, right? Like, if you leave a sock out in your yard, it might take 30, 40 years to decompose, but it will eventually, right? And it's the same with just basically everything other than, like,
love.
I guess nuclear waste takes forever.
Well, but also, it's like hard drives decay way faster than you think. Like, an unused hard drive 7 years later probably will have significant problems in a way that, like, weirdly, like film and tape does not. I mean, like, film goes away as well, but there was that thing when Doge, Musk's, government corporation, was like, good news, we digitized all this magnetic tape, finally, coming into the 21st century. And everyone was like, no, the magnetic tape lasts forever. The digital stuff does not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the not scary version of this is, like, most of this won't happen in your lifetime. And if you take generally good care of your stuff, like, it's not like... it's not like a banana on your shelf. Like, it's not like rapidly decaying. But technically, yes, there is decay that happens to discs and to cartridges. It's most prevalent so far in, like, particularly the old Sega stuff. Their manufacturing processes, I guess, were just not quite as snappy as some of the other ones. So you can sometimes hold up, like, a Sega Saturn disc to the light, and you'll actually see some little pinholes poking through sometimes, and that's disc rot. That is, if the light's coming through, that means whatever was in that little section of the disc, that's just gone. Whatever data was there. If it's towards the outer edges of the disc, that's probably might be okay, depending on how big the disc is, because they put the data in from the inside out, so the outer stuff is usually not as important as the inner stuff. Again, I'm not don't take all of this as like the scientific fact, because this is my understanding of all of it, and I might be getting some of the finer details wrong. But yeah, it can happen, and just keep your stuff basically not in a warm, wet, bright place. You want to do the opposite of all that.
Got it. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
That is helpful.
I want to start an all-girl punk band with you, Kelsey, called Disc Rot.
I was thinking that too.
Hell yeah.
We are Disc Rot!
Good
1, 2, 3, 4!
That's all we've got so far. Thanks for coming to our show.
We can't sing. Bye!
Merch in the back. Maple Violet writes in.
Physical merch. Yeah.
It's rotting. Maple Violet writes in. They say, is there a European or American equivalent to a Japanese studio like Gust or Falcom, which has 700 to 200 employees and are able to put out a game every single year like clockwork? Not that all the games are good, but they have the ability to consistently ship. Falcom, I'm obsessed with. Like one of the oldest indie studios out there, making trails these days, right? Gust, I had to look up Atelier. Is that how you pronounce that RPG series? Kelsey, do you know?
Atelier.
Yeah. I have never paid attention to once in my life, and I'm a damn fool for it. Because, they've just been cranking these games out, and it's amazing when these Japanese studios have just been able to consistently, we found our audience. We're good forever. Thank you. So I think it's a really good question. I'd love to see comments on YouTube kind of filling out the answer of, what is the European or Japanese equivalent of it? I have one in mind.
Is it Jackbox?
I was thinking that it's Jackbox in Chicago.
Totally.
I think, yeah. Maybe that's as close, but if there's other ones that have just been consistently releasing stuff. I'm trying to think of the European scene. Maybe whoever makes the European or the farming simulator games or something, but
Oh, yeah.
But comments below, please. But Jackbox, what an interesting studio. It might be interesting to learn more about them. Brian Lines writes in. They say, hey, folks, here's the dilemma I'll give you all. You can earn... All right, y'all ready for this? And it's a dilemma, Jeff, and this isn't a good thing.
Okay.
You can earn 50% more on top of your wage each month, but you have to exaggerate your personality by 50% every time you're on a podcast.
I can do that. Easy.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's the way the internet's already pushing us?
Yeah.
Great news. Podcast is not a significant part of my income.
What?
So, bye. I just won't be on podcasts anymore.
Yeah, with that sweet money, Jacob. And just imagine Jacob dialed up to 600% personality.
50%, 150% personality.
Okay, every time you're on so it's not multiplicative, which is what I took it. Every time you're on a different podcast, it's upping 50.
Oh my God.
Every time.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what I don't know what a extreme parody of myself even is. Especially if it's iterative like that.
Your birds would be
times?
On your shoulders,
more and more
squawking.
birds.
Have you ever checked out a New Show Plus series called Scripted Podcast? Yeah, this chilled me to my core a little bit because how much of that is naturally happening. If it's always the thing, if you go back and listen to your first appearance, first recording ever for a podcast or something, it's just I like playing the music games, and now it's well, the other thing about Segway Town,
but you're just becoming more comfortable with being yourself, I think. I don't think you're amping it up. I think you're not shy anymore.
No,
I don't know. You've never... I've hung out with Ben enough in real life to be he's not in podcast mode right now.
No, but that's what I mean. You're becoming more yourself.
I feel good whenever we do travelogues or spotlights and something, and I do feel it's such a good sign if I take a camera out in the middle of something funny happening and start filming and nobody changes whatsoever, their tenor or their tone or level of sincerity, and then the camera goes away and the exact feeling remains. This is really dorky, but in my mind, I'm mission accomplished. That was genuinely insight into what it was like to get dinner at this moment, So Brian, good question. Thanks for writing in. What do y'all like for question of the week, and how many zeros can we add to the end of that?
Persona 50 vinyl soundtrack.
Yeah, we'll send him 50. Hope you're okay with it, I'm 8-bit. Congratulations, Blobars Martin. You just won the prize thanks to I'm 8-Bit. Now it's time for something that we call Get a Load of This. Jacob, could we get more samples of your voice in that jingle, please? I would feel better. Just you talking about incest or whatever. Yeah.
Here's how 12 minutes works.
Hey, get a load of this, everybody. There is a town that I drive through every time I'm driving out to my hometown. So like almost every weekend in the summer, I go through this town of 300 people, and I frequently stop because they have the biggest ball of twine. So they say. I'm sure some other places.
I feel like every place says that.
I know. It feels like a cliche thing. So I'm always skeptical.
Why is it always a ball of twine?
I don't know. But it is
easy to make.
Yeah, no doubt it is a huge ball of twine in Darwin, Minnesota. Tiny scrap of a town that I love dearly. And it popped up in my news feeds a couple weeks ago because it turns out Lin-Manuel Miranda went there with his son and just like took a bunch of pictures. And I guess it's because he's such a fan of Weird Al, and Weird Al has that song about the biggest ball of twine. And so they looked up like, where is it? Oh, I guess it's in like an hour and a half west of Minneapolis. Let's go there. And so it's so crazy to think that like there was a chance I could have just been driving through that town or at the Twine Ball, which is where I like to hang out, everybody. And just Lin-Manuel Miranda would walk by in this town of 300 people in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota. So
that's fun.
Weird stuff.
And the song he made sounded a little something like this.
I'm not throwing away my not.
Good.
Thank you.
Get a load of this. Here's some good news for the games industry. Games Done Quick is happening. It's happening right now. It's a big charity stream, speedrunning, marathon, whatever. I've seen 2 runs that I really liked thus far. I haven't been able to keep up with most of them. But there was one that was Monster Hunter Wilds that I watched last night where the runner was... people were donating to choose the weapon that the runner used. And throughout the run, they used every single weapon in the game to kill different monsters. And so it's so cool of just like, hey, you want to see every Monster Hunter weapon used at a very high level?
Yeah.
Go check this out. And then this morning, there was a speed run for Peak. And it was fun because it was just like single player. I thought there might be some multiplayer shenanigans, but just a single player run of Peak. But it was done by just 2 incredibly sweet French women, one playing and one on the thing, and they were just like, and so we really hope we get the chain launcher, and it's just like it's very kind of like the usual vibe of a speed run, but I found it very relaxing and very fun to watch.
Oh yeah, tune in and donate straight out of Minneapolis. We're hoping to go maybe on Thursday. Some of us are going to swing by for a little bit.
Get a little of this.
Okay.
Oh, beat you, Kelsey. Sorry.
Floor's yours.
Finally, somebody talks over Kelsey this episode.
I talked so much this episode. It is totally okay. I had big rants in me.
Get a little of this. Did you know that Tom Green lives on a farm now in Ontario and also has a podcast from his farm?
Tom Green Acres.
Yeah, and he had Tony Hawk on it. And before Tony Hawk came, because he was going to have Tony Hawk on, and because they're longtime old friends, he built a giant vert ramp in the middle of nowhere on his farm. And they came out and they talk about skating, and they did some skating. They put on a skating show with him and Kevin Staub, and it's just kind of, if you like 90s nostalgia stuff, they talk about Tony Hawk, the video games, of course, and everything else. And it's just... I have a weird nostalgia for seeing Tom Green again, and being a weird, wholesome farmer who still makes immature jokes every now and then. So,
salt of the earth.
Watch it.
This was not my get a load of this, but your Tony Hawk stuff reminded me that my partner took a photo of the guy skating under a bridge in Seattle the other day and was like, "Doesn't this guy look like Bam Margera?" It was Bam Margera.
Oh, wow.
He was just in the middle of Seattle just skating under a bridge for some reason.
Weird. Did you see Jackass, Jacob? Sorry to step on you again, Kelsey, to talk about Jackass. Wasn't it weird how much Bam was in that movie? It was like, it just feels like, here's every clip we could possibly put of Bayam in here except for any new stuff. Please don't yell at us.
Yeah, I'm glad they got to make that movie. It was clearly like we're making another movie, but we are not physically healthy enough to do big stunts anymore. Right. So here are a bunch of clips of old stuff.
It was the weirdest thing to go to a movie theater, laugh for 90 minutes straight, and then walk out and be like, that was kind of disappointing. That should not happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still recommend going to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely the worst Jackass movie.
Yeah. And speaking of Jackass, it's about time we let Kelsey Lewin talk. We're Jackasses was the...
Get a load of this!
Take it away, Haley!
Mine's not that good, so I want to go next, Kelsey, because yours probably better. But I saw this cool thing where an art student did their final project to graduate from art school is making a custom Dead by Daylight map with all their own modded, like their own tools, and it's completely unique to them. And it looks sick. It literally, I want it to exist, like a Tudor village, and they walk through it. And it deadass looks like it's from Dead by Daylight, but then also just like the way they scoped everything is like a very well balanced, cool Dead by Daylight map. Like, it took me months. I hope you like it. And then people loved it, and they came out and released like the whole thing for people to walk around in and stuff. It's very cute.
Nice. Get a load of this. The community shared an interesting one. Bacon in the Discord. There's fascinating. Get a load of this all day, every day. But they shared a YouTube video, and it's volume 1. And it's John Baptiste. You might know him as the band leader from Colbert, 1,000 other things. But it's him talking to Nobuo Uematsu, the Final Fantasy composer. And it's just them like hanging out, talking about music. And then John Baptiste like playing a piano for this new music project and stuff that Uematsu's working on. But it's always just fun watching Baptiste at a piano getting really excited about music. And when that's Uematsu, it's like the best thing.
There's a great, I got an Instagram reel the other day of Baptiste just playing Song of Storms on piano in this like super fun jazzy arrangement. And I was like, man, this is, God, could you imagine if he just did this with video game music all the time?
I forget if I had this as a get a load of this. It was over the holidays, so maybe not. But there's a Fresh Air episode on NPR where it's just Terry Gross and John Baptiste talking about Christmas music. And I listened to it on a car ride. I don't think I've ever been so locked into a podcast in my life. I was like, I want this to go on forever. Because it's just them being like, oh, you remember chestnuts roasting? And then John being like, ooh, yeah, let me play it. And he would just like play a little bit on the keyboard and like break it down musically. It was the most compelling thing I've ever heard in my freaking life.
He crashed into 10 other cars.
Yeah, but it was worth it. It was second in my life only to hearing Kelsey Lewin's big get a load of this.
You've hyped this up so much, I feel like I gotta quit the podcast now. That's the only way. Get a load of this, I quit.
No!
Good for her, they'll say.
Get a load of this. I just have a lot of city pride right now. Seattle did such a good job hosting the World Cup. There's been a couple of articles written about it. Both The Athletic and Sports Illustrated ranked us the number 1 and / number 2 city for hosting the World Cup. We just did so much like wonderful, walkable, cool areas to hang out and watch the game. And I went down and actually, I have very little interest in the sport of soccer, although I'm trying to learn. But like, I just went down because I just wanted to see what all the hubbub was all about. And it was just thousands and thousands of people. Tons of street vendors. Just, you can walk directly from several different stations with no interruptions, just plenty of people and food, and it's beautiful. A beautiful summer in Seattle, so it's like 70 degrees outside, and it's just perfect. And boy, do I hope we learned something from this and not just go, okay, back to cars. You know, it'd be cool to have like the occasional, like, let's shut down a couple blocks near the stadium and have a real party about it. And it doesn't need to be every day, but I think it'd be really cool. It was such a cool vibe that it would be really cool if we could keep it up.
Oh, yeah. Maybe around PAX, which is happening September 4th to September 7th in Seattle, Kelsey. And I bring it up because we're going to be attending PAX in a big way for the first time ever. We've definitely, Kelsey goes every year. Janet has gone several times as well. But this year, MinnMax is having 2 panels at PAX West this year. So if you're on the fence about attending, we'll be there, and we'd love for those audiences not to be completely empty. So early September 4th to September 7th, you can look at PAX's website right now and see the exact timing on those. But the idea is one of them is just going to be like a Q&A. It's going to be Jacob, Kelsey, me, Sarah, Janet. I think that's the squad that'll be there, right? And so it'll be us doing a Q&A. Should be a fun time. We'll live stream it, hopefully post the archive on our YouTube channel and podcast feed as well. And then we're going to be doing a live trivia tower as well from PAX West. So if you want to compete in person in Trivia Tower, there's an option for you. And we might have a certain category that's a Beat the Geek section. If you think you can top a couple of us geeks in very specific categories, you can jump on in there. But we'll also be hosting a community meetup, so we'll share details on that in the very near future. But want to remind you all, we do have a community meetup in Chicago happening very soon, July 14th. July 14th on Tuesday from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Off Color Brewing Tap Room. If you're in Chicago, come on by. It's going to be Leo and Janet there filming a MinnMax spotlight on a certain Chicago developer. Try and piece it together. But they'll be there. So you can go there, say hello, don't be shy. You don't need to be a Patreon supporter to attend. You can bring a friend. We'll just be hanging out, or Janet and Leo will be hanging out at the Off Color Brewing Tap Room, known as the Mousetrap, apparently, on July 14th. So swing on by and say hi. Also, last couple things. Trivia Tower. We have a new Trivia Tower happening Monday, July 27th. It's going to be, the plan is to make it like a versus against another podcast out there that I'm a fan of. So it should be a fun time. So if you're a Patreon supporter, even the $2 tier, you can compete in trivia there, get warmed up for maybe the live Trivia Tower at PAX West. And then also thanks everybody for sharing that rapid fire interview about Control Resonant that we put up on Tuesday. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. And if you're at the $10 tier on Patreon, we shared for the first time ever, I think, like, hey, here's just like the full raw interview, which is like over 40 minutes long. And so especially if you're a dork for production and you want to learn more about editing or something, or like seeing how those things come together, you can watch that 40-minute interview and then watch the 13-minute rapid fire to see like how it all gets boiled down. I think that'd be kind of fun if you're into the behind the scenes stuff, but that's shared in the Discord. And that is it for this huge episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching, listening, sharing. Oh, Crowboy says Japan vlog update. Great question for the MinnMax Spotlight. Yes, we had a guest editor who will reveal, I guess, when it goes live, do a first cut, and I'm going to take a look at it. And so the plan is to put that 17-bit MinnMax Spotlight up as soon as possible. But also there's 22 hours of footage to go through.
Question.
Yes.
Does Muscle Girls make it in the final cut?
It is. I scrubbed through the rough cut and it was in there. Yes.
Okay.
Do you want it to be in there?
Yes.
Okay.
It was we only went feral for that. It was the most fun we ever had.
Awesome. But there's so much other stuff of them like at Disney Sea and just exploring Tokyo for hours and hours and hours and hours. So the $10 tier folks are going to be eaten too good for YouTube. We need to cut it up into several different videos. So yes, the whole thing is it's coming soon, but it's a beast. We're fortunate that it's a beast. All right, that is it for this episode. Speaking of beasts, thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next week with the most uplifting episode of the podcast you could possibly imagine. The counter is going to be at a bare minimum. We're all going to give thumbs up to a bunch of cool games, so stay tuned for that. Thanks so much, everybody. Until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.